Is a good morning. Hope you're all doing well. Well, we finally made it here. It's November 11th, 2023, the scheduled departure of the Inner Circle Trader from social media. If you could be so kind as to let me know, I'm checking Twitter right now. If you guys can hear me, just give me a 5x5. I'm using my Bose headset so that way I can talk with my hands today. Thank you, Lawrence. Just looking for a few more just to make sure everything has to be good on this one because this is my last one. London 2K. Noam, thank you very much. Thank you, Hank. El Gordo, thank you. All right, so you want to be a Forex trader. So you want to be a futures trader. What every new and aspiring Forex trader wants to know. In 2010, that's how I started this. For some of you, that's the genesis of Inner Circle Trader, but it actually was in the mid-90s. I had a presence on America Online, and many of you heard that story. And I thought many times over the coming months how I might reflect on how I would have done this last Twitter space and how I would have done it differently, or if I would have said this, or maybe said less of that. And I guess it's really one of those things where it needs to just come full circle. So while many of you know me as a Forex guru, or if you have a lot of glass awards, you call me a furu. The idea of sharing and the enjoyment I've had doing all this has been, for lack of better terms, just a wonderful experience. Initially, it started with a social experiment to see if I could create another one of me. And while I have wonderfully profitable students, none of them actually had the same thing happen that I was trying to, kind of like recreate. So at this chapter of Inner Circle Trader on social media, that is, I just wanted to sit down with you for a little while, and I'm going to be doing this up till 10 o'clock, and then I'm going to close it. So there is no long one today. I pretty much said everything anyway, but I wanted to sit down and encourage you. I want to kind of like reflect on what it is that you have in your hands now and how you should respect it, how you should trust it and lean on it. Even in my absence, you have everything that you need. You don't need to subscribe to anything. You don't need to pay for anything. It's all in your hands right now. The problem with it is some of you are going to be extremely depressed because maybe this Twitter account has been a source of inspiration for you or a motivation for you. And for the ones that have been with me longer or have developed faster, not that that's always a good thing, but some of you absolutely have done very well in terms of growing in leaps and bounds, faster than some of my other students. That doesn't mean that if you haven't arrived yet at your understanding, that you won't ever get there. It just means that they did something more than you did, and your life circumstances probably dictated that you couldn't do as much as they did. And that's not a knock against your aptitude. It's not a knock against your will or passion to do it. It just means that life sometimes gets in the way. So if I can leave you today with a measure of encouragement, it's this: that everything that you would have been looking for as a trader, no matter how much time you spent seeking things, indicators, systems, courses, gurus, teachers, mentors, whatnot, I have given you everything that cuts through all of the fat and takes you right down to the bone. What holds it all together? You can have a lot of muscle, you can have a lot of strength in something, but if you don't have a good skeletal system, a framework, you can't do anything. Imagine that icon, Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was huge, right? What happens if he didn't have a skeleton, right? It would be useless to him. It's a big pile of muscle, right? Useless. So what I've done is, over the years, I've placed in your hands a language, so that way you can see the marketplace from a framework stance. And then I've given you pieces, little cogs that work very, very well in the grand scheme of things. And by placing these small cogs, like specific PD arrays and very specific, straightforward, easy models, optimal trade entry, 2022 model, silver bullet, those things are very generic principles that can be treated just as they were taught to you. And you don't need to inflate them with other things. You don't have to add additional filters. You don't have to do anything to make it complicated. But for some of you, you want to go really deep. You want to go as deep as the rabbit hole will take you. And I appreciate that. That's how I am. I'm of the same mindset. I'm not satisfied with just knowing. And I have to be careful speaking like this because for some of you that don't have this perspective or have this incentive behind your study, I'm trying not to inspire that, because if it's really not in your makeup as a person, then it's really not there and it's not necessary. Like, you don't have to know everything. You don't have to know the daily high and the low. You don't have to know what the weekly high and low is going to be. You can trade in the middle and get a lot out of that. So there's going to be a lot of fever and rush to try to be the next big thing. And my hope is that for the folks that have found progress, don't quickly abandon what you have put work into. If I can go back in time and talk to myself as a younger man at 20, the first thing I would tell myself is, you're going to try to do too many things. They're going to waste your time. You're going to try to work on things and figure out things that aren't essential. They're not required to be consistently profitable. They're not going to help you actually. They're going to actually become a hindrance and a distraction. And they're going to be puzzles for you to try to figure out versus trying to figure out the problems that you have as the man. The person that is the trader, that is largely the issue. And I've mentioned this many times over the course of Twitter Spaces and even in the dry parts of my videos that people generally complain about. But they're the brass tacks. They're the things that really make you or break you. And it's hard to communicate that to someone that's brand new, because it doesn't feel like those things are pertinent to you when they are paramount to your proper development. If you look at the number of years I spent with you, it's about equivalent to what it took for me to get it all figured out and get myself out of my own way. Everything was scheduled. Everything was planned. Nothing was random. I've taken you through the exact process. Do you remember how fever pitched I was to always be tweeting? That was me in a characteristic form of how I was as a 20-year-old, trying to do everything, buy every book that I could get my hands on, deliver pizzas in addition to my job on the one day that I had off, just to get more money to go down to Trader's Library down in Columbia, Maryland, to waste more money. Because those books, the only thing they did was kept me hooked on the potential of figuring out the right guy or gal out there that's going to teach me the secrets to how these markets work. And I can promise you this, over 2,000 plus books, not one of them were able to do it. Not one of them were able to do that for me. Now, for some of you, you probably have heroes in your back pocket that you like to champion, and that's wonderful. I hold Larry Williams in high regard because he was the first person that had a great impact on me and helped me focus on things, whereas I didn't have a structure. Like I was just coming from Ken Roberts garbage, right? And it helped me think about things in a more structured manner, how to work from determining whether a market's really in a position to be traded or not. And you think about it for a second. How often have you looked at a marketplace and it might be your very favorite market? If you're a Forex trader, it might be your favorite Forex pair or your futures market or your commodity or your cryptocurrency. And it's moved into a consolidation for a prolonged period of time. And you just don't have the patience to hold on to it. To sit on the sidelines, that is, and have patience, holding on to patience, waiting for a viable setup. So you go in and you start doing things recklessly because, you're looking at this stuff. So therefore you don't want to be wasting your time. You might get something out of it. Even if you made $100, it's worth your time being in front of the charts, right? And I did a lot of those things when I was younger. And Larry Williams was the first one to help inspire me to focus on a market that was more prone to trade in a manner that would be advantageous. Okay. You don't want to be in a range bound market. Now, I have since learned, obviously, and you've learned as well from me, the ideas of trading inside of a small ranging market. It's possible. You don't need a lot. I taught you how you can take 5 handles out of the index futures and carve out an entire career on that and never need to move beyond that. You don't need to be a 20R trader, a 50R trader, a 200R trader that never really does it. Instagram. So being content with enough is important. And I guess in a lot of ways you can look at, what I've shared on my YouTube channel is probably, by many definitions, overkill. And because it's a lot of videos and it's basically a daunting task for someone that's highly critical, they're like, oh, he's overcomplicating it. There's no overcomplication. It's me teaching in great detail why something's going to repeat. Now, I don't have the faith in something because I see it work a few times and not really understand the mechanics behind it. I have to understand what it is that makes this thing work. Now, I'm not a mechanic. Okay, I'm not very handy with my hands, but I understand how cars work. I understand a combustion engine. I know the technological advances that we've had and the things that we used to have, like carburetors and things like that. They've evolved. Now, because I understand how they work, doesn't mean I can repair them or fix them. But I had to satisfy that internal desire to know what it is. And as a child, everything that I ever had, I took apart. Now, sometimes I couldn't put them back together, but I had to know what was inside. Like, what's inside of this thing? What makes it move and what makes it tick? And I've always been inquisitive. And I think that the Lord gave me that, and coupled with what everybody else would say is a mental illness and an impediment, but obsessively compulsiveness, allowed me to fuel that insatiable desire to keep digging in to understanding what makes these candlesticks, and back then it was open, high, low, and close bars, perform a specific manner, in a manner that repeats, in a manner that can be exploited, and also to reveal something that's always been there underneath your nose and everyone else's nose, but we've been hearing for decades, and as long as the market's been around, that price is random, price is unknowable. No one can be consistently accurate in predicting or timing the marketplace. And obviously, majority of you now are part of the, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and Gentle Ladies. Because you can do the same thing now. You're able to time the market in lower time frames that defy all logic, even from the Goldman Sachs boys. Doesn't it feel good? Doesn't it feel good to be a part of this? To have learned something that even the big shots that go on CNBC, they try to tell you this stuff, but you can't time the market. You can't outperform the S&P. Are you freaking crazy? Seriously? What's the average return on the S&P annually? It's trash. I'm making trades with 20% per trade. So how long do I have to prove that any one of us, or anyone that's willing to sit down and learn this pyramid with proper risk management, using a real stop loss, I don't need to sit there and work all year long to make a industry standard high watermark return. Dude, that's a morning scalp. Like, that's not something that, we're sweating that. We're not sweating that. Now, in their defense, obviously, they're speaking from a position where they're many times, controlling millions of dollars, maybe even $1 billion, and you just can't move a lot of that type of size on very small little fluctuations. And I grant them that, okay? But when they themselves like to spit in our direction and say that there really isn't any edge there, when there is no sharper edge in this industry than the one that we're wielding, every day, it's there. The precision is there. It's undeniable. You've seen copious examples of beginning to end executions, both in demo for a longest of time, and this year you saw it with real money. You cannot deny that. Now, for some of you, that still isn't enough because you can't do it right now. And I want to encourage you, even though I'm stepping away from social media, don't abandon your progress. What do I mean by that? Well, what's going to happen, and this is exactly what's going to happen, there's going to be people that have studied what I've taught, and they themselves are going to be the one that rebrand it, like we've watched many times over the course of the last 12 years or so, 13 years now, since I came out on Baby Pips and started teaching things that nobody else was teaching. And that $5 million bounty is still there. Not one person came forward with proof or evidence that any of the things that I've presented to the community is rebranded of anything. Because if it was, somebody else would be out there doing that stuff, just like you see me executing. And what do you see as a common denominator when anybody sees my examples? This has to be delayed data. That's their only excuse. It has to be delayed data. Or it's demo. And then when it's a live account, well, it's an AMP demo account. But when they look at how AMP goes on to TradingView with a demo, which I didn't even know they had, you can see it clearly is nothing says AMP live there. It's some kind of series of letters and numbers and gobbledygook. So we've canceled every argument. We've literally laid to waste every reason why you shouldn't at least do your own investigation on the concepts. I've always openly challenged all of you, and I'm so proud of you that have done it, because you pushed through all the noise and the chaff and the distractions, because many of them are marketers. And I get it, man. I get it. You can't trade well. Your profitability as a trader is not there yet, but you have something that you're marketing, and you want to make money. You have an entrepreneurial spirit. I get that. I understand that. But at some point, folks like you are going to have to prove that you can do what you're claiming and not talk about someone else to try to rise to the occasion. And I don't want any of you to become so good at this that you become toxic and arrogant. For most part, that's what you think I am. And I want to tip my hand to you and kind of show you really what this is all about. Because I was never going to do any kind of marketing. I didn't want to do any kind of investment into Facebook because I think Facebook is a joke. I didn't want to invest in advertising on any other platforms, and they'll go without being named. I needed to create a stir. Pardon me if you hear me drinking my cocoa, but we had our first frost, and this is like an annual thing for me. So if you hear me slightly slurp it, just pardon me, okay? But I wanted to create a measure of interest. And when you go to a rodeo, okay, when you go to a rodeo or you go to a circus, what do you remember most? The clowns. As much as you probably don't like clowns, because that's a real thing, I came out on Baby Pips and presented myself just as that. I completely disarmed everybody. What are they going to say about me? I'm going to teach you through a demo. There's nothing they can argue about. But I wanted to show that I could do something wearing a mask that nobody else would be able to replicate. And I would over deliver an education that would lead to something that was useful and profitable. Imagine that as a marketing strategy. No one else would have done it. But look how sticky I was. Highest numbered views on threads over there on Baby Pips still today. And I don't have any content in there. What I think you don't realize is when I was a young boy, I was fascinated with magic, sleight of hand, card tricks, coin tricks, and things like that. And David Copperfield was a huge inspiration to me, and I can't wait until February because he's supposed to be making the moon disappear, which is going to be equivalent to what he did with the Statue of Liberty, I'm sure. It's just perception. But that first moment of watching his annual magic presentation on CBS was like a huge milestone each year for me because I wanted to be like him. Like I wanted to be up there and dazzle the people that would watch him. Because when he would do something, that line between reality and wow, what is going on here? Like this is something that shouldn't be possible. I loved that moment of astonishment. And over the years, I invested money in learning and time in studying that craft of magic. And I got really good at it. And then one of the guys I learned from, his name is Paul Harris. Now, if you looked at this guy, you would not be impressed with him at all. He doesn't have any kind of features that would say, wow, he's charming, or that he is really just an average looking guy. Okay, slightly balding, a poorly maintained mustache, and just nothing really to look at. But sharp as a tack. And his style, I kind of took that as a guru online. And what do I mean by that? His strategy was many times to entertain himself, really. And if you could probably find his interview, maybe not. If I can find it, I'll share a link on Twitter before I go. But for some of you, this probably means nothing to you. But I want you to understand who I am, where all this stuff came from, what created this personality that I presented to all of you, and the building blocks that created it. Because it's not me copying somebody else's trading style. It's me as a young boy growing up and having all of my influences become a part of what you're seeing. Like, you remember the 80s cartoon Voltron? Loved it. I loved it. Before school, I'd watch it. And you had these tigers that would come together and they would make this Megazord, right? There he is. Boom. Well, all of these people like Paul Harris, Jeff McBride, Larry Williams, martial arts instructors, all these influences over the course of my life all had little parts and roles to play to be who I am. And the arrogance aspect that many of you don't like about me, that's really not me. And I've told you very candidly when I was younger that was a genuine thing about me because I was new money, and new money just acts like new money. And it's an ugly thing. But I got humbled. And it might not sound like I'm humbled, but I use this as a means of engaging the audience. And what did Paul Harris do as a magician? He would win the crowd over with his talent and his cordialness, his politeness. And then he would flip it up and become this jerk, this person that really nobody would want to listen to. And then he would try to win them back over. As much as that may sound like, why would you want to do that? It made sense to me. That made sense to me. Because who do you really want to be paying attention to? You want to see the guy that was taunting everybody to get knocked out. You ever see that MMA video? The fighter, he's out there, he's doing all these breakdancing moves, and all of a sudden, boom, Sleepville. Well, that's what everybody wants to see. So if I'm not going to market myself and pay for advertising, and I already hook the people that already see value in what I'm teaching, how do I get the rest of the people? I got to create some kind of stickiness. So I'm going to be that arrogant clown that represents himself with a demo, because everybody wants to see that guy get wrecked. So they'll talk, and they'll talk, and they'll talk to their friends, and they say, "Go look at this guy here, look at this." Yeah, wonderful. And they all advertised for me for free. You all worked for me for free, doing all those things. You allowed all these well-rounded students that I have now to find me, and I never had to put a dime behind any of it. Everything was scheduled. The real me, that's who's talking to you right now. I have gone through the ringer through these markets and life with a woman that was really not wanting to be with me, but wanted the money I had. And I had to do a lot of things to hide from her and her ex-husband now. And it's unfortunate, but I own that. It's something I made the mistake of doing something as a young man, and I own it. But some of you want to have this position of notoriety, and you want it to fill a void. You want it to fill some kind of vacuum space that your own life can't fill. And you're thinking that if you become popular in trading, or if you start teaching, or if you're giving out signals and such, and I hope all of you are successful at it. I genuinely, absolutely, wholeheartedly want all of you, even the people that take shots at me, trolls and whatnot, I want all of you to succeed. I've had a lot of fun being an inner circle trader. I've had so much fun. And some of you have taken it personal, but I've never meant anything personal. It's always been shop talk. That's all it is. I can take a good ribbing. Look at how I go back and forth with Patrick Whelan. I don't see him as a threat, and I know he doesn't see me as a threat. But it's all online banter. It's fun. But I hope that the skill set that you acquired from me and learning how to do this doesn't turn you into what I was as a 20-year-old, which was an arrogant so-and-so. And there was days where I didn't even have the ability to tolerate myself. I would say or think certain things and think to myself, wow, that's horrible. Where'd that come from? Well, I know now where it came from, but I try to keep myself from that kind of stuff as much as I can. And admittedly, when I'm on social media, especially Twitter, I have a tendency to want to revert back to how I was as a 20-year-old, which is, in my opinion, going backwards. It's devolving. I don't want to go backwards. And while I can have fun in a playful manner with certain individuals, sometimes context is lost. Sometimes sarcasm is lost in the delivery of a tweet or something I may have said in a tongue-in-cheek remark. And sometimes language is an issue, because some of you may not understand a obvious, glaring sarcasm that would be understood from the United States perspective. And then from someone of foreign persuasion may hear me say something, and there's a disconnect, or it may come across as arrogance, when really arrogance wasn't even the delivery at the time. But that whole side of me was instrumented and originated from Paul Harris, who was a magician that really didn't become a big thing, but a lot of his effects and sleights and stuff that I learned, his style made sense to me, because what was I? I was a young man, and I wanted to be able to fool the guys that were acting like they were the ones that should be paid the most attention to in the room. So you remember the discussion I had a couple years ago? I said that you want to see who in the room's the loudest, and you want to be the one they don't see coming. I always sit in the room with the corner behind me because I want to have the lay of the land. I want to see who's out there. Who's the one that's going to probably be a problem for me tonight if there's going to be alcohol in the room? I want to size them up, find their weaknesses, see what they think their strengths are, and then who's their friends in the room. I've lived my life that way. I grew up in a neighborhood that, I couldn't run. I didn't have the stamina to run, so I had to learn how to fight. So my mindset has always been, I have to be prepared for anything that's adversarial. And that's why my perspective on the marketplace is always that of like war or an action movie, something to that effect. And it also serves a very good purpose for the young men because that's how they think too. Rambo, Chuck Norris, you name it, whoever you want to put in that action film role. So it kind of allows that human mind to be blurring the line of, okay, yeah, I'm learning something very, very dry, very, very technical, very, very boring in the beginning. But if it can be laced with, hey, you do this, you're going to be a Chuck Norris, you're going to be, a Bruce Lee, you're going to be some kind of commando G.I. Joe that can pull off something nobody else can do. And young men, like I was, we let our minds drift to those things. Women, it's always been a hard sell for them. And that's why in the beginning, I didn't have a whole lot of women that were students. The one that comes to mind is Okie Dame. I'm not even sure if she's still around or not. But she was on Baby Pips. It's one of my core students in the beginning, but I'm not sure what she's even doing anymore today, if she's even trading. If you're listening, I hope you're well. But I'm talking about online students, because I obviously had women as students prior to being on Baby Pips. But all these, these stepping stones of becoming a human being that has been influenced by other people, not necessarily traders, not necessarily, good role models. I used all of that to create this online persona of inner circle trader, just like wrestling. When you hear me rant, what you're hearing is how I used to practice when I was working out and was a larger guy, 18 years old. I wanted to be a wrestler. I mean, I have yearbooks that you can see all my friends were like, don't wrestle this one. Or, they all knew that was my aspiration. I wanted to be a wrestler. And I would practice doing shoots and promos. Like I could do verbatim just about every Macho Man, Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan promo that you can pretty much get almost everything that they're saying. I'll say it just verbatim, just like that. Down to the flicking of his sunglasses and flicking it away, all of that. Even the one where he did the promo with Mean Gene Oakland, where he had the creamers, the coffee creamers, the cream of the crop. I practiced that so many times when I was in high school because I knew what? Nobody cares about the wrestling. Nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about that stuff. If you've ever been to a live wrestling event, it's actually boring. But when you watch it on TV, they add additional sound of the audience cheering. That's fake. And you're hearing that commentary. What's the commentary? It's to make you like. It's to influence your interest. Oh, look at this. Because they know that you have a team mentality. So as a influencer, I already knew that there's a lot of people out here in this industry that are getting credit for things that don't really deserve it because they're not doing anything. They don't even prove they can trade. They can't even show you an execution from beginning to end. Not just once, but they're the most opinionated people. So I wanted to come out and have a very polarizing perspective placed on me. And Tom Hugard is, he's been public about how, you ever hear this guy, Inner Circle? He never puts the trader at the end of it. I think it's a subliminal knock against me because he thinks I'm just a demo trader. I don't think that. I'm just being funny now. But he said that, this guy, he's very polarizing. He's like Moses. And I didn't take that as I'm trying to be Moses or that I'm equivalent to Moses, but he nailed it because that's exactly what I have tried to do. So that way it creates discussion. There's going to be people that have learned from me, that have real tangible experience that they can say, this works in my hands. I know it works. I have proof of it. I don't need to see ICT do it, but yet ICT does it every single week. So what is that doing? It's canceling the people that's going to say, but you never see him do what? Trade with a live count? You saw that. Call the high and low of the week? You saw that. Trade the high of the day, low of the day, trade low, short, and then go long the same day. Trade without a bias, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, on every single turning point. Yeah, you all saw that. But that won't matter because just like when you go to watch a wrestling match, without all the fanfare around it, without the influencing and the commentary, the team aspect of being in the crowd, you're a John Cena fan. Oh, you're an Undertaker fan. That type of thing. It doesn't make it fun unless you have that interaction. So I had to create this polarizing personality that many times I was shocked at where, like, I don't have a script, okay, unless I'm waving the paper, like when I'm talking about something that is an itinerary that I have to get through. It was usually the very long Twitter spaces, but right now I have nothing. I'm talking with my hands right now if you're watching me. I was shocked at where this stuff comes from. And that wit comes from practicing being like all of the wrestlers that I looked up to as a child, even the ones that I didn't like Ric Flair. I couldn't stand him. I couldn't stand. He used to make me cry as a kid because he would pin all of my favorites by pulling their trunks and putting his legs up on the ropes. And it would make me angry. And I would leave the house with the chip on my shoulder and go talk to my friends about something. And because I'm angry about that, I would start an argument with them just because I wanted to vent. So I was thinking to myself, I'm not the only one that thinks like this. This is human nature. Like, this is human nature. So if I can create this opportunity for people to talk about me and what I'm doing and how I'm basically trying to ridicule everything else in the industry, what's that going to do? It's going to create waves. And it's going to be out there, and people are going to hear about it. And somebody's going to want to come over here and say, "Hey, let's just square this up right now. This is what I can do. This is what you said you can do." And largely, it's been just exactly what I said. They'll talk, and you're going to hear all these new people talk. But I want you to remember, let them prove. It matters not to me, and I'm the guy that done more than anybody else out there. It doesn't matter if they show it to you with a demo account. Because if they have conceptual ideas that they believe are viable in price delivery, because that's what I focused on, price delivery. If they can do what they claim, they will gladly show you from beginning to end with a stop loss and walk it just like that. And not just one time. Every single week, consistently, show you what they teach, what they claim to know. Can they do it in their own hands? Because there's going to be a lot of people with my logo, with my name, saying they trained with me, saying they're a charter member. That's been the biggest scam. So many people has claimed to be charter members. And honestly, folks, the easiest litmus test is simply ask them to prove that they can do what they say they know how to do. And as soon as they say no or give you excuses why they don't want to do it, there's your answer. That's it. You don't have to troll them. You don't have to go on and on about them. Just, okay, I saved myself a lot of time. Don't even wish them well. Just wipe your feet off at the doormat and just leave them right where they stand. There's going to be a lot of fraud and scam and all this other stuff once I stop producing content, because there's going to be a lot of you that just want to be around it still. You don't need to be around it anymore. You have everything in your hands right now. I don't care if you go watch any more of my videos. I don't care. If I cared, I have the biggest audience right now, making over $30-some thousand a month in ad revenue, and I don't even put new videos up. I'm telling you, I'm not putting new videos up. So how does that even fit the criteria that people were going to try to say that I want you to watch videos for ad revenue? Because I could just easily put something up every day. I could talk about a review that's already happened and make lots of money doing that. I want to go back to my personal life. I want to have the latter chapters in my life with my wife. And I just want to tell you something real quick. Before I came downstairs here, while I was using my wife's little, I got to find out what this thing's called. I bought her this cappuccino machine thing, and she has this like little, I don't know what it is. It's got like a little ring, but it's like a coil, and she puts it in her coffee to kind of like froth it up or whatnot. I guess it would be like a frother. If it's not a frother, then for those that understand what I'm talking about, you probably know what that name is. Just, I guess, tweet it to me because it's driving me nuts right now. But I used it to stir up my cocoa. And as I was doing it, she leaned over my shoulder and she kissed me on the cheek. She goes, "Finish it today so I can have my husband." And for the folks that honestly think that I'm going to be on Twitter after today, I'm telling you, we're done. We're done. I want this woman to be happy with me. And tomorrow's not promised to me or her. And I want to be able to say that you're worth it to me to put all this down. Like, I've done everything I wanted to do in life. I've done everything. I've accomplished everything and more. And I'm very, very happy with the woman I'm with. And I want her to look back and say, you know what? I have no distractions. And 2 times this past week, we were together, and she goes, "This feels really good to have your undivided attention." And it cuts, man. I mean, it cuts deep. As good as it feels to hear her say it, it's a resounding, thunderous reminder that has not been there. You know what I'm saying? So we've been together since 1997, got married in 2001. I believe she's been patient enough. And you probably think, well, ICT, come on, man. Even if you did do these long-winded, droning Twitter spaces, that's not the entire day. You don't know what I'm doing. I have a private community with multiple user groups that I have to talk to. I have questions that will be sent to me. I have people with my phone number that I'm constantly blocking, which my number gets changed tomorrow. Oh, not tomorrow, Monday. And I have my phone on Do Not Disturb. So for folks that have been sending me, thank yous and all that stuff, use Twitter for that, please. I'm not going to reply to you. And it's not to be rude, but I'm not going to do that. I talked too long. My cocoa's cold. Now it's chocolate milk. The time I've had with all of you, though, it's been fun. I've had so much fun. It's been fun being Inner Circle Trader. It's been fun being, an online clown guru. But, the last 2 years, I pulled back the veil, showed you what's available to you if you really just knuckle down and say, okay, it's fun. We get all the online drama, funny stuff. But let's see what you really have. And like last night, I was laying in bed just scrolling through all the people on YouTube, all the people on Twitter that either make mention of what they learned from me, have my logo saying, this is what I did to pass this challenge. This is how I earned my withdrawal over here. This is where I placed in the leaderboard for this or that. It's amazing to see how many people just said, you know what? I'm not going to listen to the naysayers. I'm not going to listen to people, my friends that may have said that I'm going to never be anything other than what they are themselves. I lived that same thing too. And now look at what you're able to do. You're making more money than your job. You're making more money than some people earn in a year in your one singular withdrawal or payout. How does that feel? Feels amazing, doesn't it? Contrast that feeling right now for the folks that are able to do it with how you felt right before when you first started listening to me. Oh, this guy. This guy, there's something wrong with this guy. If it was so good, he would have profitable students. Well, look around. I have the most. I have the most. Look around. It's undeniable. And I love it. I absolutely love it. And I know because of what I'm leaving up on YouTube, I'm not deleting one singular. I'm not deleting one single tweet. I'm not deleting any videos at all. Not one thing. It's all left up there for your edification, for your learning. Also, to cancel those people out there that want to try to sell something. You don't need to buy anything. If my name's attached to it, don't buy it. Don't buy it. You can find it on that YouTube channel. It's there. It's in a lot of videos. And there's going to be people out there trying to sell you, here's a study guide to make learning ICT faster. I promise you that's going to waste your money and waste your time, thinking you're going to learn it quicker because of somebody else's curated list of videos. Again, you're listening to people that are not showing that they have learned how to do it. So how are they going to give you a study guide? ICT private mentorship. If you can't do it, why would anybody pay you when it's already up on my YouTube channel for free? Come on. And you're a fool if you're paying for that stuff. Don't buy these scammers renditions of it. It's already happened. You walked this with me for the last 2 years. That was mentorship, where I had to sit down and tell you what I think the market was going to do on a daily chart, on an hourly chart, on a 15-minute chart. So we weren't just always on a 1-minute chart. I was giving you macro perspectives for the people that can't necessarily sit down with an intraday chart and trade that because life gets in the way, right? Or maybe it doesn't fit their style of trading. So I want to encourage you to just stay on course. Okay, stay on course, and I'm confident that I already have very, very strong students that want to see other people succeed. And they don't necessarily want to try to sell mentorships. But if you make yourself available to the ones that aren't doing very well, you know what? You'd be doing me a great respect because I've given it to you for free. And if you learn how to do it well, and somebody out there struggling with wanting to learn how to do this themselves, by bending over and helping them get up to where you're at, that to me is one of the greatest lessons you learn from me. Because I want you to be able to see, by looking around, the world's changing. It's getting real dark. And winter's coming. And not everybody's going to do very well in that situation. And if I can inspire that charitable sense for your brother or your sister, I'm going to try to do it here. Because everybody else is going to be out there with a price tag attached to it. Just look, you know who they are. They're already showing you in the last 4 months, some of them even before that. They have something for sale. If they're really, really successful, they will be doing things for free. If their motivation is to help, they will be doing it for free. Now, I'm not knocking anybody that wants to make money. I've even taught my students how to run signal services. I've taught them that. I did not teach them, even though they just basically copied what I did in mentorship. Now they're running mentorships, and they've made millions of dollars, either taking what I've already said or just blindly share the actual videos. And I've had people that have bought those videos from other people from 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 20, and the last group was 2021. The last group of 2021, you know what they were predominantly? They were people that bought the bootleg versions of the videos. You know what their common denominator response has been? Having the videos wasn't enough. I had to be with you where you were telling us what the market was going to do day by day and watching it happen 90+%, always delivering. That's mentorship. And I told this to my group all the time. I said, the videos aren't the mentorship. The core content is just a language. And I told them when I was done, I said, I could take those videos and put them up on YouTube, and it isn't going to change anything. It won't change anything. Listen to Kit over at ICT Concepts. He was scouring the earth, going in back corners and stuff, doing drug deals to get I hit ICT mentorship videos. He was doing whatever he could to get hold of them. I wasn't letting anybody else in. By itself doesn't help. Those videos that other people are going to sell you are not going to help you. What has to happen is you sit down doing the things that I walked you through. Now, I've already said this in the core content. I've said those things in core content. You have to do these things, practice like this. But even my paid members didn't want to listen to that because they were waiting for the easy 1, 2, 3. Here it is. I don't have to spend so much time and energy because I got things to do. And they're the ones that still, even from 2016 group, can't trade. They can't. Not for a lack of sound logic that's being taught to them, because I have students from 2016 that are murdering it right now. And I also have students that have done better than any other group, even the 2016 group, that were in the 2021. And I have students that never joined my private mentorship that discovered me in 2020 on YouTube that have now are earning multiple 6 figures a year trading just from what I taught for free. That should encourage you. That should encourage you, because every one of those groups are a different walk of life. And the ones that are succeeding are doing what? They're not putting a time limit on they have to learn it by this time. I have to know everything. I have to take everything the ICT says and place it into my trading approach or my model. That's a fool's errand. You can't do those things. And when I teach all these new concepts, it was never with the intent to try to confuse you. I've always told you, this is just another perspective, one more thing to use if you don't see the optimal trade entry. Okay, if you can't really dial in on a fair value gap, which I think, to me, I don't understand how anybody can't see a fair value gap, because it just jumps off the chart. But that whole business of trying to place everything like a kitchen sink approach doesn't work in any model of trading, not just my stuff, but anything. I mean, look at all of the available indicators for overbought, oversold. I did that same stuff when I had Metastock as a young man. I used that trading platform, or not trading platform, but it was a trading software. And I had end of day data. I didn't have real time. And we had to get all of our ASCII data downloaded at the end of the day. And then it would populate your chart. So having that as my only means of looking at price charts, I saw all these indicators. I'm like, wow, look at this. I mean, I could put like 12 indicators on this chart. And eventually got to the point where I couldn't see the chart. And I had more faith in what the indicators were telling me. And I wasted years doing all that nonsense. And you see these guys out here that are just trying to do the same thing by placing all their faith in the mathematically tortured data of open, high, low, and close. You shouldn't have any faith in that stuff, because price doesn't even refer to it. And how is anyone going to be able, if we were in a courtroom, okay, and you were the one on the side of defending, you're defending the usage of indicators in price action, okay? How are you going to demonstrate? How are you going to demonstrate that price is going to do whatever it's going to do based on CCI, RSI, MACD, stochastic, Williams percent R? Which one is it going to respect today, and why? And why not the others? You would fall on your face. But now roll in ICT. All right, here's price. We're in a discount. It's taken sell side. It's already had a shift in structure. There's buy side, relative equal highs here. The time of day. This is when the market will start spooling. It's going to run. It's already cleared sell side. And now we're waiting for a fair value gap to form below price. And then when it goes into there, we're going to be buying that with a stop loss that goes right below the low that creates the fair value gap. And we're going to take a partial halfway between where we're entering and the draw on liquidity. That's easy. That's simple. And then the final terminus is the buy side liquidity. That's double tap. Remember that on baby pips? Oh my goodness, that's a flashback, right? So that's simple. I could stand in front of the CFTC in front of any judge and do this every single day. I don't care how long. Make the court last long. I don't care, because I can do this every single week, every single day. It's going to be there. Period. I've been proving it for years. And I'm telling you, when you understand that, when you're able to do that yourself, that's not arrogance. That's confidence. That's confidence that you don't have to struggle and scrape around trying to dig in the back corners for something new. You have everything that every trader wants to know. I told you from the beginning. I know what every trader wants to know. I know it. And I taught it. I demonstrate it over and over and over again. And for some of you, it was enough for me just to teach it to you. Well done. Well done that you took the initiative to find your own proof. You took the challenge. I told you, go in and see if it isn't in your charts. Because if it's BS, you're going to see it right away, because it won't repeat. There won't be any consistency behind it. There won't be any quote unquote edge. Dude, it's a razor's edge, sharpened to a fine edge. And it's there all the time. Look at the evidence all around us now. So many people coming forward. I have so many guys that are in jail right now. They're listening to this with a phone they're not supposed to have. Shout out to you, bro. But they're learning how to trade. And then they come out into the world. They come out into the world, and you know what it's like. You know what it's like. I was a manager, okay? I was a manager, and Keith White, I know you can't hear me, but this man used to hold up drug dealers. I can respect that. First of all, that person that's selling the drugs, he's not in the community's, he doesn't have the community's best interest in mind, okay? He's an opportunist. Keith said, well, you know what? If anybody deserves to be held up, it's them, and I know they're going to have the money. So he and his buddy would roll up, boom, give me your stuff. And the guy that said no and tried to run away, he shot him in the right butt cheek. Well, that put him in jail for attempted murder. So he did a number of years and then got out and couldn't get a job. Nobody would hire him. He was on probation, whole business. And then he crossed paths with me, and he said, listen, I ain't gonna lie to you. This is where I'm at. This is what I did. But if you give me a chance, I'll work hard for you. All right. Really? That easy? Yep. Why? I said, my father's a contract murderer, and I know if he ever gets out of jail, I'm going to be the one that has to employ him, because nobody will. So I know. So why did I have a dad that was a contract murderer? To give me the heart of someone to give the opportunity for people that would otherwise not have an opportunity. See, I can look back on all this stuff now and see how God placed all these things in front of me to become who I am as a person. But this guy, Keith, turned out to be the best employee I ever had. My son, Caleb, I would literally trust him as a child around this man, knowing full well that he had respect for me because I gave him respect first. I wished many times that he wouldn't have got himself wrapped up with somebody that got him in trouble, and he reverted back to something that he couldn't do, because when I was no longer able to guide him, he got himself in trouble, and now he's doing time for home invasion. So he's going to be up there probably for a long time. I wish he would have learned, like some of the men that have come out. And recently we just seen one. Gentleman came forward and said, look, this is it. I came out of jail. I did things, I'm not proud of. I'm turning things around. And you know what? Slinging rock, doing all the things on the street corners and stuff like that. I trained people that used to do that stuff, and they make more money, and they feel better about themselves doing it this way than doing it that way. And I'm sure that gentleman, and like everybody else that would do it this way, makes them feel good. Makes them feel like a sense of accomplishment, that they're doing it themselves. No one's giving them anything. They're working for it. So that way their credit can't be shared with nobody else. And I got respect for that. I got all kinds of respect for that. Because this world's hard. It's not easy. It's not owing you any freebies. Even though that I didn't charge money, those lessons take time and energy, effort, and faith. Not in me, not in those concepts. It takes faith in yourself. Are you going to be able to stick to what it's requiring you to do? Because most people don't. You tap out too soon. You have no idea how far you're going to be able to go. But you take a little bit of adversity, a little bit of discomfort. You think these guys that were in jail, you think they don't know what discomfort is? They know exactly what discomfort is. So when they come out, they're highly motivated. They're highly motivated because their channel of opportunities have been reduced greatly versus what you and I would have. If I wanted to go out there right now, there's a number of different jobs that I could be qualified for, but I would never want to do. But as a convict recently, on parole, that's hard. That's really hard because there's a lot of managers that would say, you know what, I'm going to look for a better qualified candidate. What you're saying is you're probably going to be a problem for me and I'm not going to risk it. Where I looked at it and said, you know what, they're honest. They told me right off on Jump Street, this is what I am. This is what I did. I did my time. I'm out now. I'm looking for an opportunity. And if you give me a chance, I'll work hard for you. Done. You came to me honestly. You told me what you did wrong. You told me what you're doing differently, and you want to work. And you challenged me to see if you're a good worker. I'm going to know right away, just like I teach you. You're going to know right away if those concepts are BS. You will see nothing in the charts doing those things. You would not see these fair value gaps form a silver bullet between 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock every single day. But it's there every single day, reaching for an obvious relative equal high or relative equal low, or a singular high or singular low. Which one's better, ICT? Relative equal high, relative equal low. Why? Because they're going to see that as support and resistance. It's going to be very, very influential to the sentiment aspects of how retail traders see what price is doing and how they would trust it. A singular high and low, that's enough for me. And for some of you, you've traded that way for a long time now. But if you're going to ask me which one has more significance, if you can see relative equal highs, it's going to run there. If it's relative equal lows, it's going to run there versus a singular high or low. Okay. But that stuff works every single day. Nobody's come out there and said, look, it doesn't work. The only thing that's coming out is people saying, wow, it's really there. And look, I just made money. What's going on? I've been trying to do all this other stuff and it's nothing easier than this. Exactly. That's exactly the perspective I want all of you to have. And it's mine. I'm already 5 minutes over. Give me 10 more minutes. My hope is for you to be inspired by everybody else that's coming forward, showing real proof. Okay? You can say what you want to say about different brokerage firms, because there's no broker out there that's good. Okay? They're all doing the same thing. They're trying to get you to trade because they want your commission. And if they run booking, they want you to trade because they want to take your money. Okay? That's this business. You should know that coming in. And you can say what you want to say about the funded companies, which I have no affiliation with, but they all have their goods and their bads. Okay? You can see people that are doing really well. Sometimes they're not getting paid out. I don't know the details behind it. Some of them are being banned. I don't know the details behind that. I don't know any of that stuff. I'm not interested to know any of that stuff. I don't need to trade with a funded account. But for some of you, you're seeing these very companies interviewing your brothers and sisters in this community. And they're coming out and saying the very same thing that I told you. If you put the time and effort into this, you will be able to do what most people can't. And you're going to stand apart. They're going to recognize you. You're not doing 2% gains. Okay? You're not making $1,000 and calling it a victory. You're taking down annual salaries. The average annual salary. Look at what the folks are doing in this community. How can you not be razzed by that? Like, how can you not be inspired? Say, you know what? I'm at home. I'm around people that can see something that I've been inquisitive of, curious about, but never really felt the inspiration to really take a step forward and do it. But now look at all this evidence of people that are being interviewed by companies. You think these companies are just going to give this money to people randomly? Think about it. I don't have any kickback from any of these companies. They've asked me for affiliations, and I've said no. Not all of them, but most of them have. Because if I do that, guess what that does? It mars my opinion. It makes it biased. So I can talk unbiased about all of them because I have no affiliation with them. If I say something good about them, it's what I feel is genuinely my opinion about it. Doesn't mean it's right. It just means that's my unadulterated opinion that has no influence at all because somebody paying me for an opinion. That's what you want. You don't want to be listening to advice from people that are highly affiliated, because are they really telling you what they would tell you if they weren't affiliated? I don't know. You don't know, because it's hard to differentiate. And I want to be in a position where if you're going to listen to me, if I have any influence over you, I want you to know that there's nothing in it for me. I've already put my core content mentorship. It's on the YouTube channel. I'm not doing a future mentorship. I told you I'm not putting any more YouTube videos up. How am I going to make more ad revenue? It's going to diminish over time. So what am I here for? I'm here because I've already done the work. I've shared it with you. It won't cost you anything but the time and energy to go in and look at it. And if you don't find any value in it, then you don't find any value in it. It doesn't change the effectiveness of it. It just means that you didn't put the effort in long enough doing the things that you should have been doing and found the results that you're looking for. But they're not going to come on a time-based schedule. You can't time your success. Okay? You can't say, I'm going to be successful by this time. Because the only thing you did is you placed so much mounting pressure on you that everybody that would try to do that would probably cave. Do every athlete in the world that does an event that would be equivalent to an Olympic event, do they all make it to the Olympics? No. No. Do the boxers that work really hard to qualify to get to be in the Olympics, do they all get to be in the Olympic? No. Would you want to box any of them, that ones that didn't? I know I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to do that because they're trained. They've trained very, very hard. They just fell short of that mark. But they're still way better than the average person in terms of fighting. No, I'm not saying street fighting. I'm saying, like, if you're just going to only just be a pugilist and punch only, and you have no grappling skills, no ground and pound, none of that stuff, you're not going to want to exchange hands with somebody like that, even if they're lighter than you. You take an MMA guy. I'm going to ruffle some feathers over here. I got to bring some kind of controversy. It's my last one. I don't care how good your MMA is, okay? I don't care how good that is. If we're standing up, okay? If we're standing up, you are not headlocking nobody. You're not ground and pounding anybody. You're not slamming anybody. You're not choking people, which I wish they would take that out of MMA, because honestly, that's not skill, okay? And I get so much flack from other martial arts about that. Oh, come on. I got like 50 different ways to do a shimewaza. Shimewaza is a choking technique. And to me, a child, if they get a person quick enough, an adult will fall to that. So to me, I don't think that's skill. Submissions, yes. I think that's a means of tapping out. You cause that other person to tap out and submit to you. But a choke, I don't think that should be allowed in MMA. But a boxer, if a boxer and an MMA guy, I don't care who it is, I don't care what striker in MMA there is, you place them in front of a well-versed boxer. That boxer's beating that ass. It's happening, okay? Because they're training to do what? To find your chin and put you to sleep. Now, MMA artists, they're trying to do everything. 90% of what they're trying to learn is on the ground. But what is a boxer trying to do? Never go on the ground. So the first 30 seconds of a fight is a boxing match. That's what it is. So I say all this to say that you don't want to try to be a master of everything as a trader. Don't try to do that. See, MMA, mixed martial arts, look at the name. They're mixing what they think is the best of everything out there. No. It still doesn't take away the fact that there are some guys that walked into that octagon and literally laid waste. I mean, it was really fun if you look at the first 2 or 3 Ultimate Fighting Championships. If you ever watched them, I mean, that to me was crazy. Like, it was $15 to watch some really mismatched fellas get out there and go to town. But that's exactly what it's going to be like in the street. See, in the street, you're not going to find somebody that's your same weight, comparable in every aspect, within the same weight class. You're going to end up in the bar, and the biggest guy is going to come over to you when you're in a drunken stupor, not able to stand up, okay, and he's going to throw you around. That's exactly what the UFC was doing. That's the real world. That's how it is, okay? And they don't have weight classes out in the street. Well, in trading, you don't know what weight class the market's going to operate in that day, just like you don't know what indicator it's going to respect, which is why it's nonsense to even believe in that. So you have to take it back down to, okay, what is it likely to do? Okay, it's going to move a lot of momentum, one directional, at very specific times between 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock in the morning. Why? Why does it do that? Because at the 9:30 opening, a lot of orders come rushing in. Big trading firms and clearinghouses, they funnel a lot of orders in there because why? There's liquidity. Everybody's chomping at the bit to get in or get out based on that opening price. And that brings in a lot of liquidity that allows for order flow to come in real quick. But it will evaporate quick. So what does it do? It uses that initial surge of inflow of orders to run to the obvious liquidity that's above or below the marketplace. What is it reaching for? Many times it's the opposing direction of where the daily range will reach for. So an example would be, you're looking at a marketplace and your ideal scenario is you think the market's going to go higher. So you're not trying to go short. You really want to wait and see what it does at the opening price. That initial opening, 9:30, opening bell, everybody's in there clamoring to get in there and do something. All kinds of order flows coming into the marketplace. Boom, 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 boom. That will evaporate. So what is it going to do after that initial surge of interest and all the clearing firms that come through with their orders hitting the marketplace in the first 15 to 30 minutes? What is it going to do? It's going to reach for the resting pending orders above the marketplace, above a singular high or above relative equal highs. So what is that initial move dropping down at 9:30 to 10 o'clock? Judas. It's fake move. So you're waiting for all that stuff. But then at 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock, you had that distribution phase of the morning price swing, where whatever it's going to do in the morning going into New York lunch, it's going to be directional, and it's going to run real quick into that buy side. Up to, but not limited to, 11 to noon, New York local time. Now, that is a very generic perspective to hold in the marketplace. But if you look for that when the market's predisposed to go up, you got it locked. The only thing you're waiting for is a fair value gap to wait for the price to drop down into on a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 minute, or if you're inclined, less than a 1 minute, 15 second, 30 second, 45 second, 5 second time frame. It's not complicated, folks. It's really, really simple stuff. But the complication comes with you're trying to find where COT fits in all that. Where's the commitment traders fit in all this, ICT? I'm really struggling with the break of market structure. Where's that in the turtle soup? I'm sorry, not the turtle soup. Where's that in the silver bullet? Where's that? It's not there. You're looking for liquidity. You're looking for liquidity. You literally can wait between 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock and say, okay, what has already happened? Sell side's been taken. All right, am I bullish? Weekly expansion is likely to, I'm wanting to see that weekly candle go up. Okay, then I already have a selection that I want to be a bull. I want to be buying only. So you filtered out every shorting opportunity. I don't care how good it looks, you're not taking it. And that's going to be hard for you to see a lot of these really dynamic sell-offs. You just watched me short the S&P the other day, and the NASDAQ was saying, no, S&P, you're crazy. I'm not going down there like that. I'm not going down like that, okay? I'm not going out like a fool. I'm not going down like a chump. I got somewhere to be today. And I'm very proud of you that I sent out that Mount St. Helens picture. That was a subliminal little marker for my students. It's getting ready to blow up. And NASDAQ was doing what, relatively? It was saying, no, I'm not interested in going down. So it was what? The relative strength leader to the upside. So I shorted the weak one. It went right down to my price, but the spread didn't let me get out. That's the price of precision sometimes. The difference between the spread, the bid and ask. But that's okay. To me, I think it's fun to be that precise, to have my order sitting right there, and I've already taken a profit, so it doesn't matter if it takes the terminus out. I don't care. But if it turns around there, guess what that proves? It proves visibility. It proves conceptual idea that it can be timed. There is sound logic behind it. And I was so precise, the only difference between me getting that fill was the bid and the ask. How much better can you be but not get the mark? You can't get any closer to it than that, right? So that's the right perspective. So when you have that, and you see me down, I guess that's the second time you see me do it this year, where I've had a resting order in and just the spread denied me the actual exit on the limit order resting. But some of you get mad about that. And you're like, oh, what's the perspective to hold with this? I'm angry about this. Don't get angry. You should be thankful that you have the laser guided precision to even to include a limit order there, where nobody else in the retail universe would ever have that. They're looking for, wedges and bull flags and inverted head and shoulders. And I gotta stop. But you have really the easiest thing in the world if you're trading a silver bullet. In Robbins, that's all I'm doing. I'm not doing anything. I'm not bringing out Enigma. I'm not doing Model 2022. I'm not doing Artemis patterns. I'm not doing, Reapers. Nothing. But just simply silver bullet. Because in my mind, when I created that, I wanted it to be so easy for my child to be able to see it, know what time it's going to be there. So that way they're not anxious. They're not anxious to worry about, am I going to miss the move? Because think about how much you're fearing all the time. Your FOMO is off the charts. Any given day. Man, I hope ICT tweets about if ICT could just tell me in a tweet to note this level, I'm going in. I'm going in. I'm not going to have any reservations. I'm going to take that trade because ICT is pointing to that liquidity. He's basically telling me, signed, sealed, delivered, it's going to happen. And for some of you, that's what you're afraid of with me not being around doing anymore. And you shouldn't be afraid about that. This is that next logical step in your development where you, as that eaglet, is getting pushed out of the nest. And it's scary. The eaglet doesn't know what's on the outside of that nest. And it fights its parents when it's being pushed towards the edge of the nest. It's never been outside to know that it's dangerous. It's never known it. But it knows enough to know, I don't want to be out there. I want to be close to you. This is home. I want to be close to you, Mom and Dad. But nonetheless, that eagle is not meant to be in a nest forever. God gave it wings to fly. And it can't use those wings until it's pushed into a situation where it has to use them. You have the tools. You have been given the instructions. You've been given the mindset, how to look at things, how to avoid certain things, how not to think about these things that create pitfalls in trading. That's what I've talked most about, because that's the very thing that's going to be your undoing. It's not going to be your winning. It's going to be how you think about what you didn't do right, or that you did right but wasn't good enough. And what is that going to do? FOMO, fear, greed, over trading, over leveraging. And all of those things are going to be your downfall if you allow them. If you've taken everything I've ever said, either in text or in audio format, whether from a video or like this on Twitter Spaces, I probably wrote dozens of books already by now. But none of you would have been willing to pay any amount of money if I said trade psychology according to ICT. There'd probably be a handful of you who probably would have bought it, but most of you wouldn't have. But the real secrets to precision order block entries. Oh man, that's the one that's on the top sellers list. I'm the #1 bestsellers list on everything, right? But that won't help you. See, if you stay in the game long enough, you're going to find what you excel at. And you're also going to learn the things that you do incorrectly, that you're prone to repeating over and over again, like trading without stop loss or trying to be better than the next person because they have more attention given to them. And you do reckless things. And those reckless things are the very barriers to your success. You're the one that's in the driver's seat with it. I mean, think about it like this. When I teach my students to look at a weekly chart, you're looking at what is to be the next weekly candle. Are we among weekly candles that have been recently enlarged? Have they been increasing in size, or have they been reducing in size, or have they reduced from big ranges down to smaller ranges and it's still in small ranges? Having a period of time studying your chart with that perspective on a weekly chart is hugely advantageous, because we just saw a lot of movement this week in the indices. So naturally, over the weekend, people are going to be making up their mind about what they want to do next week. What do they want to do? They want to buy. They want to chase price going up. Now, what you don't realize is November 7th, I told my private students that the high on the NASDAQ at 15,468, that buy side, was in the crosshairs. It was going to reach for that. And then the fair value gap just to the left of that will be filled. Now, I say that only because there is more than what you see, but what you don't see is not required, because I've always publicly proven these things to you. I've given you ample evidence to understand that this stuff repeats over and over and over again. It's not enough to call a move. It's not enough. That's not impressive. It would have never impressed me to only hear somebody that would be calling me or calling themselves a mentor of me or anyone else to say, I called that move. I was looking for this thing to happen. But in the same sentence, 30 seconds before, it might do this, but then when it does the other, say, I called that move. And that was another driving force behind me returning back to Twitter, because there's a lot of people with a lot of following that scribble over a chart and they give you two scenarios and they don't even tell you which one they favor. And then at the end, many times, they don't even do either one of those scenarios. And yet people still clamor and worship them. That's not jealousy. I'm not jealous of anyone, because nobody else is out there doing what I'm doing and what I've done. And I'm trying very hard to inspire those of you that want to be in the position of influence. The way you get there is walk the talk. Don't say something and not be able to do it and show it. Don't claim something in terms of precision and not be able to demonstrate it. Not just a singular event, but week after week after week after week after week after week, for a year, for a year and a half, for 2 years, for 6 years behind a paywall where everybody would have came forward and said, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Because that never happened. And I gave you 2 years of what it was like to be under my tutelage, where I had to show it to you before it happened. You should be inspired by that. I know I would have been. I know I would have been. I would have found my home, and I probably would have saved myself a lot of money with buying books and chasing other people, because I would have seen the evidence that this stuff is in the price action. It repeats. Because only a fool can look at the level of testimonials with people coming forward making real money, not demo dollars. And they learned how to make that real money from a demo baller. Everything they learned from a demo chart, a demo trade, a demo account in the hands of a guy that was honest and came forward and said, I'm teaching you this through the guise of a demo for compliance reasons, because I'm not a licensed financial advisor. That's why you never saw me call my live trades when I was trading with the AMP account. Because guess what I'm acting as that way? A financial advisor. And no one can claim I'm doing what? Front running my orders. Everything is scheduled. Everything was planned. I already know what questions you're going to have, and I already know what the trolls are going to say. And that's why I'm going to beat the shit out of that Robbins competition next year. I'm not even going to come back and say, I told you so. I don't need to do it. It's going to be obvious. So my question to you is, has your time been with me? Has it been fruitful? Do you have as much fun as I have had? You know, this is actually pretty good, even cold. I guess it's kind of like what those people do when they drink that cold. Like, I've never been a coffee drinker. I love the way it smells, don't get me wrong, but it tastes horrible. And this is kind of like what I think cold coffee would taste like. It's better than like a chocolate milk, but I don't know. I'm digressing here. But I've had so much fun. I've been up all night long thinking about, what did I want to talk about? Who did I want to talk about? And what did I want to revisit and whatnot? And honestly, I've said it all. Like, I've already said it all. And I want to save this part here. And then at least I have a clear conscience now. I know there's a lot of you that really, you're listening to me right now, but you hate me, which I don't get that. But if we've ever exchanged words, just know that it was all for the sake of drawing a crowd. That's all it was. I don't know any of you from Adam. I don't know what you do in life, if you're successful or if you're profitable or not. But I've always provoked everybody on Twitter. I've always done that. That was my style. That was my MO. I would go right up to the people and say, hey, you can't do this, and here it is. And the only thing they can say is you're a demo trader. But I'm doing something with a level of precision that you watch me do with a real account this year. It's undeniable. And they wouldn't bring forward any evidence that they could do it either. Like, you would never watch them take a trade. Like, I pioneered a new wave of other people that are openly sharing. Because it used to be, show me your MyFX book. Fuck your MyFX book, because that's fake. Show me a blank canvas chart with live data. I don't give a shit if it's demo or not. You go in with a laser precise entry with a real hard stop loss, manage that stop loss throughout the entirety of the trade to a target that you had predetermined. You do that dozens of times over the course of several months in a row, using the same logic that you claim is behind your Mickey Mouse bullshit. You do that, then you have a reason to have an audience. People have no excuse not to listen to you now because you've done something that 90% won't do. But look, you can tell who's been here. You can tell who your brothers and sisters are because they're out there showing you what? Executions from beginning to end, trade management with a stop loss. Guess who inspired that? Good old ICT. Oh, here he is. He's claiming he's the only person that ever did a trade. Look, I'm not saying the guys out there trading with MACD and RSI, moving average crossovers, aren't trying to do something, but they're wrecking themselves on their live streams. They're wrecking themselves publicly, dismantling themselves. I'm saying, look at the logic that's been taught to you for free. And how many people have it in their repertoire now? And they are not afraid. They are absolutely not afraid. And they have confidence that they know what they are able to do is going to repeat for them. And that's why they're barking the loudest. When people talk shit to them, they're like, let's go right now. And all of a sudden, their Velcro balls drop off. I love that. I love that because that means, number one, they know where they're at in their trading. And for the people that don't respond, get real quiet, and they clam up, that tells you volumes. That tells you volumes about them. They don't have confidence. If they have any success, it's hit and miss. Do you want to listen to somebody that has that? Do you want to learn from somebody that has an anemic level of confidence? That many times, I guess in a lot of ways, it would borderline on arrogance. But, if you really can do something, if you really, really can do something, and you choose not to do it because, well, you got better things to do, that's just too much of a cop-out. If you really love what you do and you have the time and effort to say that you can do these types of things, right? And you go on and on and on about how you can do this, you make this, but you're not even willing to just show a trade. Just show us. I mean, if you're going so far as to claim in comments to other people, my students, me, other teachers, other traders, other mentors, clamoring in their comment section, talking about, I do this and I do that, but there's nothing in terms of evidence showing that you even know how to enter a trade. Listen, we have raised the bar so fucking high now that these people that have been frauding and scamming people for so long, they're mad as shit. I'm getting threats all the time now. I told my private students earlier in the week, I'm getting death threats all the time. It's happening all the time because I've crushed their whole business model. I don't give a shit. I don't care. Go to my YouTube channel, learn how to do it, and that way you can help your students be profitable. Don't even have to mention me. I don't care. Stop hurting people. You don't have to worry about it then. You actually feel better about yourself because I'm not losing any fucking sleep. So anyway, I tried to get out of here before that kicked in. That's why I wanted to go about an hour. I usually could go about an hour before I swing. But I guess it wouldn't be a Twitter space without a other end of the spectrum. I didn't want to have any sentence enhancers in here. But I'm interested in seeing what your goals are. Before I close this Twitter tonight, not close it by deleting anything, but my last post will be a little vignette directing you on how to go forward. It won't be long because obviously Twitter has the capped at 2 minutes and 20 seconds, which I always usually come around about 2 minutes and 15 seconds. The tweet I send right before that, I'm going to title it Inner Circle Traders Yearbook. And I'm asking you, because I see a lot of tweets that I've missed. There's also some tweets that pop up at the bottom on my Twitter that I should have seen, but I don't see them sometimes. I don't know why they don't appear in my feed. People will respond to me or they'll send stuff to me. They'll reply to a tweet and I don't always see them. And then there's sometimes where it looks like there's like 15 different replies, but when I click on it, there's nothing I can see because I guess it's some kind of scammer trying to promote to whoever would read my tweets. But the yearbook post or tweet that I make tonight will be the third tweet in my feed that will always be there. The first one is the pinned one where it says, I'm not selling anything. So that way, anybody that has my name associated with something, or if they're trying to say, here's my Telegram channel, I gave you signals, join Inner Circle Trader over on Telegram. It's all bullshit. You're not getting into a Telegram channel with me. You're not going to get signals from me. I'm not going to be teaching you mentorship. You're not going to get a PayPal link. You're not going to get a crypto payment link to me. None of that stuff. I'm not asking for any fucking money. I'm not making any more YouTube videos to make more ad revenue. I'm not teaching anything else. Okay, so all that stuff is going to be bullshit. So the first and only tweet that you're going to see on my feed that will be there forever, as long as Twitter's around, is the one where it says, I don't charge any money. Okay. The second tweet will be this short little vignette video I add tonight that we'll post at 11:59. It'll be produced and timed. I'll probably be asleep, and it'll post, and that'll be the last ever post in this stream as Inner Circle Trader. But the post right before that, which will probably be around 9 o'clock tonight, the tweet will be posted with the title saying Inner Circle Trader's Yearbook. I'm asking you if you would be so kind to, I've done this before, but a lot of you were like sending it already. I wanted it to be at the beginning of my feed. So that way I can go back and scroll through it. And in the future, into 2024 and beyond, if the Lord lets me stay around long enough, I want to be able to come back to that tweet and see your successes. So if you have ever passed the trading combine, if you've ever had a payout, if you ever had a profitable withdrawal, any success at all, that's the place where I want you to put it. Because I want to be able to look at that on the weekend when I'm going to be missing all of you. I'm going to be missing being here. Because as much as I love my wife, I love being Inner Circle Trader. I've been a lot of different personas online, but I've loved this one more than any of them. And I'm gonna want to be here, but I won't be. And it'll satisfy me to be able to see your ongoing successes, and also to remind myself that it wasn't wasted time. I already know it wasn't wasted time, but I want to be able to relive it. I want to be able to relive it at a fingertip, push a button, and I can scroll back and see the many lives that I've touched. I've been so blessed to be in a position to be an influence. Maybe not always the best influence, but the influence to try to kick you in the ass, to do more. And don't complain. Don't expect shit for free. Work for it. Work for it, and you'll appreciate it more. When you earn it, nobody can take it from you. Just because I gave it to you for free doesn't mean that when you get success that you didn't earn it. You worked your ass off to get it. It wasn't going to be easy, I promise that, but you still stuck with it. And there's going to be times where I'm going to be wanting to tweet. There's going to be times where I want to open up Twitter Space. There's going to be times where I want to be on YouTube. But I have to deny myself that. And you'll help me by sharing those things. You'll help me feel like that the investment I made in you was worth it. I know it'll be worth it if you just put the effort behind it. You have to test me and see if that's true or not. But you have no excuse now. You see so many people attributing their success to sticking to what they were taught. And it works. Do they lose money sometimes? Sure they do. Just like I said they would. Do they make money? Well, like I said before, do you honestly believe that these brokerage firms, these funded account companies that are paying out not a little bit of money, I mean, they're pretty respectable amounts of money. You think they're just going to just give this out to people? There's no incentive for them to do something like that. Well, I have no affiliation with them. Zero. They're not paying me, and I've never opened up a dialogue where we could have a partnership, but they have reached out to me, and it's no. Respectfully, it's no. And I've been that way with everything. Some of the offers I've been receiving for other things too, I know that there's going to be a lot of you who are going to end up in a situation if you get a large enough following. I'll know when you start mentioning certain businesses that offered up some really big incentives. And still it's no. Because I want you all to know that this whole delivery was heartfelt. I mean that I want to see your success, and I believe you can have it. And I know I have more faith in you than you have in yourself right now, but that will change if you take the challenge of going through the content and trying to apply it to the charts, knowing that it's going to take you a little bit more time than you probably expected to, but still sticking with it, but not trying to push everything into it. For a new listener or for a new student, my opinion is if you go through the 2022 mentorship, there's like 40 videos there. It doesn't take you long. You can go through that in about a week comfortably. I probably would counsel you to go through over the course of like 3 weeks, to spend an appropriate amount of time with each video and think about what questions come up after you watch the video and see if they don't get answered in the next or subsequent lessons that's in that series. And then as soon as you're done that, go right into looking at the silver bullet, because they'll complement one another. And if you look at that and you have a well-rounded approach to risk management, not over leveraging, using the smallest leverage that's available, you have it. You do that until you get more experience. And your experience, where you're not hopped up on goofballs to trade with more leverage because you've been successful. When you get to the point when you're successful and you're consistently able to do it, but you don't feel the inclination to go out there and try to over leverage because you know that if you do that, it's going to cause you to be anxious in a trade that even though you know you can do very well, you've historically done it with either paper trading or tape reading before the paper trading, demo trading rather. I'm talking my age, I know. That moment, that the word escapes me right now. That very moment where you know that you're unfazed by the consistency. And it's a very hard thing to describe because until you feel it, until you experience it and endure it yourself, you really won't really appreciate what I'm saying here until you get to that point. But when you know that this is going to repeat, but you also know and are comfortable with the idea that you as the operator in the model, you're probably going to mess it up sometimes. You might get it wrong. It's okay. It won't undo you as a trader. It won't undermine the efficacy of the trading model or the concept. But you know that tomorrow, if it was a trading day, next week, next February, next, September, you know the things that you're looking for in terms of a trade, they're going to materialize in the time frames that given day. It's going to happen. That's power. Ask anybody out there, what time and day is their harmonic fucking horse shit going to appear in the chart place? It ain't going to happen. They can't tell you that. They cannot tell you that. Why do you think these high frequency trading algorithms have billions of dollars behind it? You think they're just going to risk it on some willy-nilly bullshit? Some Rudy-poo, candy-ass, fruity, fresh, and tooty bullshit that has no idea why the market's going to go up and down. They're going to risk billions of dollars with multiple entries in the span of 15 minutes. Because they're doing things on a statistical probability that you're unaware of. I gave you a stripped down to the brass tacks of what time a simple little strategy that's visual. There are things that I know that you can't see in price, but I gave you something that's very, very specific and it's visual and you can set a clock to it. It's going to occur at the times I told you it's going to occur. You can't tell me as an RSI trader, you can't tell me this trade's going to form within this 10-minute window every fucking day. You can't do that. If you can, prove it. Prove it. Not with one Mickey Mouse example. Come out here, walk it for a year. No, that's asking too much. Admit it, that's way too much. Do it for a month. Man, you get a lot of clout if you do that. You can't tell in advance what time your shit's going to present. But I've been making a mockery of everything else because I know what time it is. It's ICT fucking time. Okay? It's ICT time. I can time the market. Y'all think it says I can't trade. Shit, I'm about to show you motherfuckers. You have so many things that I wished I had. I'm envious of you. I'm so envious of all of you. I wish I could have had this coming up. I would have had so much more fun. I could have saved myself so much pain and anguish, loss, physical ailments, relationships, good grief, everything. And despite having all these advantages, some of you don't even recognize what you have. It's astonishing to me. For the folks that are making money now, they're convinced. You're never going to convince those people that what they've invested in terms of time and learning how to do, you're never convincing them. You're never going to convince them that there's something else that they can do that's easier, that's more precise, that is highly effective to this degree. You're never going to do it, folks. It's never going to happen. And see, that's why everybody else out there that has some kind of Mickey Mouse service, some kind of retail logic with all kinds of indicator horse shit on it, all these things that's taking your attention away from price action, that's why they're scared shitless right now, because the marketplace is diminishing. And so you think all these people are going to learn how to trade ICT and they're going to change the algorithm. For the last time, okay? Pull up a chair. Pull up a chair. Sit down, okay? I want you to listen to me. When the market's going to go down, it doesn't matter whether you know it's going to go down or not, but if the market is going to go down, someone is going to be in that move making money. Someone is going to be in that move losing their ass. People that are in the marketplace that have lots of money at risk, they put stop losses in. Okay? Large traders have large positions. They have to have some measure of protecting that equity. They're not just letting it just rip and roll. Smart money does not use stop losses because they already know what they're participating in is going to happen. They're a tier of trader at a central bank level. You're never seeing them. They're not teaching things. They're not commenting on CNBC. They're not writing fucking books. They're not doing teaching circuits. They're out there cannibalizing every one of us. When I talk about smart money, that's who that is. It's not fucking Goldman Sachs, because they're not smart. They're highly profitable, but they have no idea what the fuck they're doing. If you compare and contrast what it is I'm taught you, what I'm educating and executing with. You ever seen Anton Creel do a trade? You ever watch him put a trade on, put a stop loss on? He's probably going to block me now. He blocked me before. But I'm being sincere. Has anyone ever seen him do that? Once? I've never seen him do it. I'd like to watch it. I'd like to see what's going through your mind when you see the price action. What do you anticipate happening? Where do you see future trades forming an entry where you can pyramid it? Because I'm doing that. I'm highlighting the chart right where I know it's going to do something that you haven't even seen in your chart yet. Guess what that is? That's fucking time travel. There's nothing like this, folks. There's nothing like this. And you are a part of history because you were all here when it was made public. You were part of it. Whether you liked me or you didn't like me, you were here when it happened. And I'm telling you, there's dozens of books that have my name and logo on it right now, but there's going to be thousands of fucking people that's going to know about us from future books that's going to be written about. Everything that you had firsthand knowledge of. You watched it. You were here in history when this stuff was made known. That's cool. That has nothing to do with me. It's the fact that the community element of it is just really neat. You know, when I was learning about GAN and I was learning about, everything that would constitute, my early stages of what I would view technical analysis and what concepts and whatnot, I always thought, like, what would it have been like to be directly taught by Gann? What would it be like to be taught right side by side, hearing the words live over a chart? This is what's going to happen. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? I mean, I don't have that same affinity now, but when I was younger, that's how I thought about it. And I tried to think about how all the things that I wanted to see as a dream, if I had a dream encounter of having a mentor that really knew what was going on and had an understanding about price action that was unrivaled, what would it be like? How amazing would it be to be able to see them outline something and it come to pass all the time? Just literally just at the fingertips, just go out there and say, okay, here's what's going to happen, and watch it happen. Because I was frustrated as a young man, expecting, simply because the market was oversold based on a 10-period stochastic, on an hourly chart. I figured that's enough for me to call it oversold. I had no idea what I was doing. And because it was oversold and it started crossing up, and the K and D lines were crossed and they were starting to go up, which we call stacking now, that means it should go up tomorrow. That means it should start going up. And I could be a buyer because I only wanted to be a buyer. And then I would watch the things that I try to do then not work. And it would create anger in me. Like, I was resentful that the stochastic didn't lift price up. I had a 50-day moving average. It was slanted up. It was pointing up. So therefore, I didn't need to know about a trend line, which I still have no belief in. I think it's bullshit. But the 50-day moving average, simple moving average, that eventually became an exponential moving average. If it was sloping up, and if you were looking at like a trend line, if it had an angle that was inclining, that told me that I want to be a buyer. And all I need was to see an oversold condition on an hourly chart with the 10-period stochastics. And once it was oversold, I waited for the K and D lines to cross. And then once it came up out of the oversold, the next day, I wanted to be a buyer. What was I trying to do? I was waiting for the opening price to go down first. Why? Because Larry Williams was teaching me to be a buyer of strength. And every time I tried that, Larry, no disrespect, but I had my ass handed to me. I was buying many times as an institutional order flow on a fucking short sell and a fair value gap. And then it would rip lower and then tear my face off. Now, I didn't know that back then. Nobody else was talking about that shit then. But I learned these lessons from losing money. I lost a lot of fucking money doing shit that I thought was working or should have worked, and it didn't. And I would get angry, resentful. I would be mad. These fucking indicators. And I would try to mess around. See if I can get the settings to be calibrated. We're going to calibrate the indicators tonight, Uncle Stan. Uncle Stan, I got it down. We're going to go to a 9 period, because that's going to make a fucking world of difference, right? It didn't do shit. It just gave me another excuse to go out there the next day and lose more money. That's all it did. I was not looking at price. And as soon as I discovered where I was going wrong by looking at indicators, then I said, okay, let me go back to the logic. Okay, and this is for the crowd that's listening that love stochastic. Okay, I'm going to tell you how to use it and make money. Okay, you ready? What did you just say? Oh shit! Now you wait. I'll wait for you to get your pen and pad. Now you want to write shit down, right? Yeah, I'll give you a second. I gotta write this down. He's talking about indicators now. That's my shit. That's my jam. Now let's go back and go through the normal process of a normal, well-adjusted ICT student. We're looking at a weekly chart. We come to the conclusion that we expect that weekly chart to resume going up, okay? It has unfinished business. It's an imbalance above price. It could be reaching up into, or relative equal highs, or a singular high it's gravitating towards. Is that complicated? Because it's going to be one or the other, or in the better condition, it's going to offer both. That means you have a real strong probability that the weekly expansion is going to be up. Doesn't mean we're trying to predict the weekly close. It just means that our focus should be primarily focused on a gravitation in price going higher. That means, bottom line is, we are trying to be a buyer going into the next week. I'm not saying that's the case for this coming week. I'm saying hypothetically from a rule-based idea. So that way we're setting a foundation for the implementation of an overbought, oversold, i.e. stochastic. So this is how I learned to move away from
the indicators, but I had first this stage. Once I understood how to read price, then I could go back in and say, okay, now I'm in a position where I think the market was going to go higher. Now I still haven't learned how to short sell yet. That was too scary for me. Like, I didn't understand selling something I couldn't have my hands on. Like when I buy something, I have it. You know, when I bought shares, or I bought an option, or I bought a commodity futures contract. You know, I understood that I had now the right to that. I can take delivery of it if I wait long enough. But selling short something that I don't even have didn't make any sense to me. So putting that aside for, well, I've talked about it in the past, but this example is we're expecting the price to go higher. Okay, wonderful. Now go back to that premise of waiting for the market to open up. I abandoned buying strength because I learned that Larry Williams said that he wanted to understand how people could be a buyer below the opening price on big bullish days. And he was demanding that he see a 20% of the previous day's range be above the opening price for the S&P. And then he would be a buyer. To me, in hindsight, looking back at it, I discovered that I was many times buying on a 10 o'clock high, and then my stop loss that would be retracing down to a silver bullet that down today would be a new entry, or really a more sound entry if you didn't buy below the opening price. I would get stopped out there, and then what would happen? Think. I went long buying strength, then it retraces on me. My stop loss gets hit, or it scares me and I close the trade. But it goes into what you understand now is the fair value gap, which is a silver bullet. What's price going to do? Take off. I'm not in it. I'm demoralized. I'm angry. I'm upset. So I learned from that. I said, okay, I'm not going to wait for that retracement. I'm going to buy it as it drops underneath the opening. If I think it's going to go up, I want to find out where we open, and I want to see it drop down. So all I would do is use a 15-minute time frame. And whatever the low was, it was real close to going left. Whatever the first 15-minute low was, I don't care if it was 2 handles. That was what I needed it to go below. Once it did that, then I started buying it. In the beginning, it did not work well. It was me going in and losing lots of money doing that. I would go in and I would condition myself to say, okay, I'm going to figure this out because he says he wishes he could learn this. I'm going to fucking learn how to do that. I'm going to learn how to do that. I'm not going to lose more money with something I can't replicate with him saying he's willing to do that. That was the biggest milestone in my development, by understanding that a mentor, like for all of you, you might have seen me do something. Okay. And there's a lot of my students that are guilty of this. And I understand because I experienced it myself. When you have a hero that you look up to and you're trying to learn from, it doesn't need to be trading, to be anything. And they can do something that you try very hard to emulate and try to do as close as you can to what they're able to do, and you fail, it builds a certain measure of animosity. It may not manifest itself vocally or, in a manner where other people can see it, but internally you feel it and you wrestle with it. I was angry at Larry Williams because I felt like he was teaching something incomplete when he really wasn't. His stop loss allowed for a lot of gross retracement that I, as a trader, was unwilling to absorb, and I didn't have the money to absorb it. So I had to create something that was inspired as a challenge. I took it as a challenge. He said he couldn't. Well, shit. At that time, I couldn't make $10,000 become $1.2 million a year. I couldn't do that then. I can fucking do it next year, but that time I can't. So what am I going to do? I'm going to try to scratch the itch the best I can and start delving into an area where he said he can't do that. Okay. I'm going to try to do something that he said he can't, and I think he's Mr. Everything in trading. So I'm going to devote my time into that. And I lost a lot of money trying to figure out a system of determining, how far will it drop down? How far will it go down? And then I started looking for, more than single swing lows, and I'd start seeing the 2 relative equal lows. And then I would look at the overnight Globex low. And then there would be this little tiny segment of price action where it was one candle, buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency, resting right below relative equal lows. That was my banger. That was the one I wanted. That's the very setup that cracked the code for me that I figured out, okay, when that forms, I know that's the day that this fucker is going to make the low right there in that fair value gap, which I didn't call it a fair value gap then, but it traded down into that. That would be my initiation to go in long, because what is it doing? It's knocking out stops. It's taking out a support level, and it's going into an inefficiency. So that's where it's going to go. So if I can get my order in to buy as it drops down there in a time when I think the weekly chart is going to go up, what am I doing? I'm buying below the opening price. What opening price, ICT? I know some of you are like, you keep talking about the opening price. What the fuck opening price are you talking about? Well, if I'm going to be up in the morning session trading the 9:30 opening, or if it was, the bond where I was trading the bonds, prior to equities opening, it's the opening price at the open outcry pit at the time, because back when I was trading in the 90s, we didn't have electronic trading. It was open outcry. So there was a whole lot of horse shit of calling the broker, and you heard all that stuff before. And the whole time the market's moving around. So you have to use limit orders. To trade like this, you had to have your limit orders resting in the marketplace, because you can't call up and do a market order. The shit's already gone, right? So what I discovered was that when the market would create these buying below the opening conditions, which were highly primed to go up, I was in an area where I felt very, what's the word I'm looking for here? Empowered, because it was repeating a lot. And I knew I had something, and I wanted to still go back in and ring in the stochastic, because it wasn't on my chart. And I felt like it would make it better if I did this. So I put the 10-period stochastic on an hourly chart back on my chart, and use the same logic. It has to be oversold. And then once it becomes oversold, does that same idea of the opening price see that drop down? And the whole aspect of a Judas goat came to mind. Like, if you've ever raised, animals or whatnot, if it's usually like pigs and goats, sheep, they employ a goat that's called a Judas, and it walks the livestock up to the slaughterhouse, but it takes a small little detour. It takes one little exit that the other ones won't. So it gets to be safe from the slaughterhouse, but it leads all the ones to slaughter. That initial drop down when the market's predisposed to go up, that's what I dubbed it as a Judas swing. Now, it led me astray many times when I was trying to be a short seller, because I was so excited about learning how to do short selling. I even got caught up in many times a Judas swing. So I had to relearn a lot of things and get my mindset corrected from those things, because I was chasing something new, shiny new object syndrome. So I abandoned what I had already learned by what I just told you here. That's how quick and easy it is for you to derail yourself and forget all the progress that you just made. If you see something new, okay, something new, or someone comes out and says ICT's unpublished or previously never shown before, or unleaked videos, bullshit, all that stuff, that's not going to help you, because everything that's going to teach you conceptually is already on the YouTube channel. It's equivalent to you now watching the videos of me taking a trade. It might be entertaining. Like, wow, look at that. I can see him doing it. But could you benefit from it monetarily? No. But you can see me using it. You have enough of that already. You don't need to buy into anything else. There's no reason for it. So it's important that you understand my departure from being on social media shouldn't be an invitation for you to just drop all progress and just say, that's it, I can't do it anymore because I can't be inspired. ICT is not here to encourage me when I am. Go back and listen to old Twitter spaces. It's the same thing as I'm saying it now. For some of you, you're going to be listening to this, months from now. You're going to get the same thing. Everything I'm saying here is timeless. It's an approach to taking something like, many of you probably like that guy Tony Robbins. And you pay a lot of money for his stuff, his CDs, or read his book or whatnot. Those things are old or stale. But when you read them and they resonate with you, it feels like it's a right now word for you, right? I needed this right now. This is refreshing. I needed it. Well, I've already given you all of that. It's already there. You don't need an ongoing thing of me. There's thousands of hours of content that you can listen to be inspired by, and other things to maybe laugh about. So, you have everything that you need. But having that stochastic idea, I realized that, it became a matter of confusion where I was watching to see if the stochastic would behave a certain way versus seeing price behave a specific way. So I finally cast it off my chart and said, I'm not going to have any of that anymore. Nothing. And like I said many times before, the only time I have anything on my chart is because I know that you will be seeing what I'm doing. And I want you to see that I have this in my foresight. It's not something that I'm writing into my chart and annotating after the fact. I see it before it does it. And that is prowess. That's undeniable evidence and proof that it repeats. It's a real logic. And in my private group, I think it was last week. If memory serves me correct, I think it was last week. I'm getting older, folks. Senior moments kicking in once in a while. But I shared an example with them, and I was showing it by way of my cell phone. And I didn't notice it or not, but to me, it was just me doing what I always do anyway, which is execute on what I see in price. But TradingView had asked me to confirm my status, professional or unprofessional, for the data. And if you have a subscription package for real-time data, you know what I'm talking about. So because I hadn't responded to their questionnaire about it, they had disrupted my live data. So I was doing an example of trading what I thought was real-time price, and I had no reason not to think it wasn't, because I have real-time data through TradingView. And my student was like, "Hey, can you answer this? Why is that showing delayed data?" And at first I didn't understand what he was asking me. I'm like, what? What is he talking about? Live? Is this live? What is he talking about? And then I look at the top of the chart of the video I'm showing, and it has that little, I guess it was like an amber colored or something, and the letter D, I think is what it looks like. And then I was like, wow, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. So I later found out that I had to do the questionnaire, or not the questionnaire, but to tell them what my status was. And once that was done, they reinstated my live data. But I felt uncomfortable for a second, because I'm thinking to myself, if that would have been on Twitter, you guys would have crucified me. And forgot the myriad of examples of me calling it before it happens, trading it with a live account where it's not a demo. You would have forgot everything and placed all of your hopes and prayers on that one event where you now can say it's fraud, because look at that right there. And I told them in my private mentorship, I said, I'm so glad that this happened after you have seen so many examples of me do this in front of you live, so many examples of me being able to explain it before it happens, and it's not during a paid mentorship. Because if that would have been a paid mentorship, that would have went over like gangbusters for people that don't like me. And for some of you, you're thinking to yourself, wow, we never would have known that. But that's the reality sometimes. Sometimes, when I'm looking at price, I'm laying in my bed. I wasn't in my trading room. I didn't have all my monitors in front of me. It was just me laying in the bed with the puppies. And to me, because I'm not looking to see if it's delayed data or live data, because I'm assuming that my phone's pulling the live data like it would normally would anyway. I'm just executing on it. I'm just doing it and taking the trade and showing them this is where the stop would be. This is the target, whatnot, over and over and over again. And then when I share the video, to me, it's what I've always done. It's no different than anything else. But it would be totally different had it been done here on Twitter. And you never would have known this had I not brought it up here today. But that's how I want to be with all of you. I want to be forthcoming. I want to be able to, where you don't have to worry about, there's no ulterior motive. There's nothing, no catch. I really want to see you succeed. And there's been the greatest effort I could make to be able to inspire you to do what it's going to require you to do, to learn how to do this. And it's available for people to make a model that's completely unique to yourself. There's enough information on that YouTube channel to take and build yourself something completely unique that no other student of mine is using. And you could have that as your model for the rest of your life and pass it on to your children. Never write a book about it, never teach it as a mentorship, never give signals on it, and be wildly profitable and happy. I would love to see that happen, But some of you are going to try to complicate this when I didn't complicate it myself. And you got to be very careful not to do that. Just because I have lots of things in my toolbox doesn't mean you got to bring every Phillips head and flathead screwdriver to the job that only requires a hammer. Yeah, you have to simply settle down and realize what it is that you're trying to do. Because strip down technical science real quick for me, ICT. Make it simple so that way I can grasp it. We're looking for a period of 1 month, where the likelihood of the market to reach to a group of orders that are resting in the marketplace above the current market price. Where would they be resting? Logically, it would be above a singular high or a swing high, or above relative equal highs that are in close proximity. The one that has the relative equal highs, that's going to take precedence over a singular high because the idea that it inspires resistance. Any inefficiency above price is a likely draw on liquidity. It's further compounded to likely if your weekly analysis is suggesting that it's going to try to gravitate up anyway. So Dave, what have you done? You've taken a stage where the market is predisposed by your analysis, and you can be wrong. How do I remove that? You don't. You're always embracing uncertainty as a trader. You are a manager of uncertainty. That's what trading is. That's it. You have no control of the outcome. You have no control of the absolute amount of drawdown or profit or the success or failure of your next trade. You can't control that outcome. You submit yourself to the likelihood that if it does this, I can profit this much. But if it does this, I stand to lose this, and it's okay. I can still be in the game, and it won't rattle me to the point where I am afraid to take another trade. That is a big balancing act. And so many of you discount that, thinking it's not going to be significant of a factor for you. When it is the very underlying factor that's keeping you to be successful. And you know it many times, but you keep pushing it aside and ignoring it and saying, no, I just need to find a better entry strategy. I need to know when it's a right shift in market structure. Fella, listen, okay, I see you tweeting to me. You have to spend more time on the higher time frames and understanding how to read the tape. And by doing that and spending more time watching real price action, you won't fall victim to market structure shifts that are either fake or actual. There's no shortcut to it. So it's just a matter of time studying the charts, okay? I see your tweet. I'm not trying to be rude by not responding to you, but I gave you 31 years of my time already. 5 minutes isn't going to change it because I already said these things in the discussion and the Twitter spaces. Time, experience, that's what you're asking for, and I can't give that to you. I can only lend you mine, and mine is no longer being lent today. Is the day it ends. But many of you are going to discount the very things I've talked more about and say that they're not going to apply to you. And then when you fail, you really know that you failed by not listening to the things I told you to focus primarily on. and you're still going to deny it. And to fight that and combat that, you'll just go and you'll join the small rank of little Dick Daniels out there that say ICT concepts don't work. When you have a whole army of people that are coming forward, proving it they do. And they're excited. They're happy because they found something that makes sense to them. And I'm amazed to see how fast it caught fire. And it's spreading like crazy. And to me, it's a little intimidating to have my name tossed around like it is and saying, hey, look, thanks to this and thanks to that. So I can see very easily how if I was allowed to do this when I was 20, that I could have been a totally different person. And I would never be leaving. I would be trying to pump it up and build it even more. And every affiliate offer, I'd be taking it because it was about ego then. It's not about ego. I told you I was going to teach you. I told you I was going to do my best to make it easy, not where everyone's going to be successful, because that's not practical. But there's a lot of things that you're going to have to grow and go through slowly in that growth. And there's no way to make it easier by trying to speed it up. To try to speed it up makes it actually more complicated and harder for you. So you have to spend time in those. Even when you start making money, when you find consistency, you start finding profitability, that's going to be an adjustment. Like you're going to wake up and you're going to think, I just had a really good week. Man, that felt good. I can't wait until Monday. Why? Why'd you say that? Because you already feel that dopamine wearing off. And you didn't get any more people tapping you on social media saying, you're fucking amazing. Oh, how'd you do that? I want to be like you. Where being content with, I followed my model. It did exactly what I expected it to do. I handled myself appropriately. I was not influenced by greed or fear. I did not feel any anxiety about the trade. I trusted what I learned in price action. It's going to repeat, and I'm content with waiting for a sound setup the next time it comes, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait soundly. I'm not going to rush to get to the next setup. That's going to be hard because winning feels real good. Sucks when you lose money. It sucks when you feel like you can't figure it out. It's bad. It's really bad. But when you start finding consistency and profitability, then the real challenge kicks in. That's when you're going to have to really learn who you are. Because everybody starts off as a loser. Everybody does. Everybody starts off as clueless, no way of making money, doing all the wrong things, reckless, over leveraging, blowing your account. Screw it. I can afford to do another reset. It's worth it. Let me try to see if I can get a lottery win. Everybody in the world right now that has funded accounts are doing that same thing right now. And some of them are doing mentorships. So, I mean, to me, you have the greatest lessons in your career as a trader when you start making money. And for the people that never made money, that don't make any sense. That's how you know they don't have any experience. Because when you start making money, your mind starts doing funny things. Number one, you think you're better than you really are. And then you think that you can do any and everything. And then you start thinking outside the parameters of what you're able and capable of doing. Say, I could do that. I could do this. And then what you're doing is you're trying to do outside of what your model is calling you to do. So what are you trying to do? You're trying to be an Olympic contender when Olympics has never been a factor. When you sat down to learn from me, your intentions were not, or it shouldn't have been, I'm going to win the Robbins Cup. Now, I'm sure some of you, since it's become a hot topic again this year, you're thinking, well, shit, I'm going to learn. I'm going to make ICT proud. If you do, join it and place it all. I'm proud of you. I'm proud. If you learn how to trade, whether you ever do a contest or not, I'm proud of you. You don't need to impress me with that. To me, Robbins is a litmus test because I have constantly rubbed it into the noses of everybody out there that says they're a good trader, they make money, they got something that doesn't stink, they're the best this and best that. But they won't ever do that. Nobody's ever really done that. And it's been a shocking revelation to see how many people avoided it because it's audited. And if you're going to come out and show the world your account number in the beginning before any singular trade is ever taken, that better fucking match at the end of the year and show every monthly statement so that way no money was added. And there's nobody can argue with that. Nobody can argue with that. No one can say that's faked. No one can say you used multiple accounts, none of that stuff. But you didn't sit down to have that as your goal when you started to learn how to trade. It might have been, I want to, prove to my girlfriend or my boyfriend that, I'm worth something. And for me, that's how it was when I was a younger man. Because my very young wife and myself being a younger man too. When she left me, that just totally wrecked me. Like it didn't give me a sense of value. It gave me a sense of I'm worthless. And I was doing everything in my power at the time to be a hospice nurse to my grandmother, go to college, work on my degree, and also work what little part-time I could do at the bookstore at the school. So, I was in class all day long, all year round. I didn't take any semesters off. So I was trying to do everything I could to speed through it. And what was the sacrifice? My marriage. But it was the best thing that could ever happen to me. But at the time, it was the worst thing that could have ever happened to me. So when I first sat down and started learning how to trade, it was to try to show her that she made the mistake. You picked the wrong guy. Like you have no idea what I'm going to become. I'm going to do this. You thought that this guy was going to inherit a grocery store that the neighborhood actually shut down. Which I got to tell you again, because I know some of you already know, but some people don't. My first wife left me for a 40-year-old man who was expecting to inherit a grocery store that was in our neighborhood. And when they found out that my wife left me for him, the whole neighborhood ran a tab up on groceries for 2 months and never paid the bill, and they bankrupted them. Now, unbeknownst to me and my family that they were all in cahoots to do that, later, once it happened, they all came to our family and said, look, we know what they did and that was wrong. You can say what you want to say about that, but that's respectable shit. That's the way down home folks do things. And when you're coming from a small town, that's the kind of shit that'll happen to you. So, you can say what you want about it. I didn't ask for it. I would have never said to do it, but punishment comes, and God says, don't let anything he brings together be divided. Don't do it. And I've often many times, I said this in Twitter spaces, my first wife, I would love very much for her to see who I am. And I often wonder, does she ever peek in and try to see where I'm at and all? What is she doing today? I have had friends and family members tell me that she's had a really rough life, though. She's been married a couple times, kids from different people, and just not doing very well. But not to gloat, but I would very much like one day to sit down with her and tell her, look, when I told you when I was 16 that I was not going to be the average person. I'm not going to be the average person. And I know your dad at the time isn't going to hear that shit. Because if someone came in here and told my daughter and told me, yeah, I'm going to be, I'd be like, listen, fucker, unless you start studying my YouTube channel, I don't believe a fucking thing you're fucking saying. Get out of here with that horse shit. So I get it. As a dad, I could understand that. But I meant it. And every time I said something and then I had intent to really make it happen, I've always done it. It just sometimes took longer than I wanted it to. And for some of you, trading is going to be that very thing. And it took me 6 years. 6 years. What my mentorship students basically experienced from the 2016, when it closed that year off, they have seen that amount of time. That amount of time. That's how long it took me to get to the point of understanding where I was the problem, what I kept doing to cause the problem, what I didn't know, and what I needed to know. And I was finalized in that. I knew exactly everything I needed to know at that time. How many of you that are just now starting that feel the adversities of learning this, and you've probably been in it for a couple months or maybe this year, and you haven't found consistency yet? Are you willing to put in another 5 years with no guarantee of the outcome? I guarantee the majority of you are not willing to do that. Truth be told, if it would have took me 10 years, I still would have worked those 10 years to get it. That's why God gave me obsessive compulsive disorder. It's not a weakness, it's a superpower. I'm not fucking lazy. I'm not someone that's going to tap out. I'm going to stay with it. I always over deliver. And a perfect example is I should have been out of here an hour and a half ago. So that's how we roll around here. So you're going to have periods where you want to throw in a towel. You're going to say, I can't get this. That means you need a break. That's all it means. Take a week, maybe 2. Don't look at anything I've produced. Don't look at the charts. Don't look at the markets. Don't talk to people that trade. Don't go on social media. Leave yourself a distance from it. And just allow yourself to decompress. It's how you manage yourself. Even successful winning traders need to do this. It's not bad. It's a good thing. You have to take a little break. You have to schedule a holiday, a trading holiday. And I treat the holiday season as my built-in, hey, this is a perfect time to do it. Why should I be worried about charts when I have my family, pining to be with me, spend more time with me? And I'm going to miss those memories as well, too, in addition to everything else. No, it's not worth it. When you work your job, you schedule many times a year in advance. We're going to go, when I get my vacation time in, we're going to save up, put this much money aside, and then we're going to go to whatever that destination is for a week. How much time and effort do you put into planning your typical annual holiday or vacation versus how much time have you put into putting in and scheduling a hiatus from trading, even during peak trading hours and times? You're not doing it. Why? Because you got to push your edge, baby. Unprofitable people on fucking Twitter says, you got to push your edge. Keep pushing your edge. You'll make it dull. How do you stay sharp? You rest your mind. What are you doing on the weekend? It shouldn't be more than an hour, 2 at most, with anything with the markets. You have to rest. Take your mind away from it. Constantly being engaged with it. It's too much. It's too much. So you have to distance yourself. And some of the greatest lessons you're going to learn is when you start finding out that you're better as a trader, when you have scheduled only 3 trades a week at maximum. I said week, not day, not session. Yeah. When you come to the realization that the best fucking setups that you're looking for the week are only 2 or 3, doesn't mean you can't make money doing all kinds of other shit, because you watch me do it and you watch my students do it. I'm saying the cream of the crop, the best, the choices, the medallion setups, 2 or 3 at most per week. You find them on the 4-hour. How often are you spending your time on that time frame? Until I started teaching actively around the weekly chart, you never even considered it. You're always looking at those 5-minute charts. It's 1-minute charts. Now the flavor is sub 1 minute. Those 1-minute charts ain't going to do a fucking thing that ain't already determined on that weekly chart, on that daily chart, on that 4-hour chart, on that 1-hour chart, that 15-minute chart, that 5, and that 1. The storyline with all those time frames, what it should do, at what time it should do it, that's when those second charts are going to behave like you want them to. Otherwise, you're going to chase things that aren't really there. You'll draw lines on shit that don't have any bearing on what price is going to do. You'll go through things you're scribbling on, and all of a sudden, you'll do something you weren't expecting. So you have to have a higher time frame perspective. No matter what you're trying to do, you should have that, because it'll teach you and help guide you in trying to trade with less, because commissions add up. If you're going to be a high frequency trader, this is expected. You're going to be spending a lot of money in commission. Probably 35 to 40% of what you start trading with will be spent in commission. What? Mm-hmm. Yep. And especially if you're trading with 1 minute or less and you're doing lots of setups, those commission costs will go through the roof. Sure. You might make a lot of money, but you're going to have a lot of money coming off that bottom line that you may not be aware of. And if it starts bothering you psychologically, you're going to have to make adjustments. Now, for me, the way I look at it is, as long as I'm net profitable and I'm consistently profitable, I could do rat's ass. I don't give shit really what the commission costs are, because I can outpace that. Like I can outpace, inflation. It's not a big deal. I don't give a shit if gasoline goes to $20 a gallon. I'm still driving my 8 cylinders. I'm not doing it. I'm not changing it. I'm not getting an economy car. That's the whole point of making money, to afford things comfortably and not give a shit. I don't look at price tags. But I did. I want to bring this up. On Twitter, I like to subtly troll. Like sometimes it's a dry humor that it goes unnoticed. I posted a tweet with a Bugatti, and I said, "Dare me," because I saw somebody with a Bugatti talking shit to me in their profile picture, but they probably drive a Toyota Corolla. But the idea of spending $3 million on any car is a IQ test that I can pass by not even fucking considering it. Okay, you're an idiot if you do that. If you spend $1 million on a car, you're a fucking clown. Nobody should spend that much money. Nobody should spend that much money on a car. Okay, is it beautiful? Absolutely. Is it worth it? Fuck no, it's not worth that. That's an IQ test. Okay, it's like wearing masks in a car by yourself. Okay, you're a fucking idiot. Stop doing it. So if you are on the fence about doing things, at an accelerated pace, lots of trades. I'm going to trade this and this and that. My advice is try to focus on the other end of the spectrum. Try to trade less. And you're going to find a greater balance in your personal life, which is absolutely essential. You have to be able to have that balance in life. Because think about it. How much influence does your life have on your trades right now? A lot. If you're going to be honest, it has a great deal of impact. Whether it is positive or negative. If you're easily hurt, if you're in a toxic relationship, or like I did when I was younger, before I learned how to trade, I went through a divorce. One that, for a girl that, I was willing to take her back for anything. It was my first love, my first, physical relationship, like everything. My heart was in every bit of it. And truth be told, I would have took her back. Some of you men out there were like, hell no, I would have. I wanted to be with her that much. I wanted to be with her that much. And I guess in a lot of ways, I've always been a hopeless romantic. And I had hopes to spend life with her in a specific manner, being successful as a systems analyst. That's what I was really at the time basing all of my future success on, not trading. And trading happened as a response after the divorce was settled, which we backdated just to get it done because, I wanted to get it finalized. But all of those things in your personal life, they're going to be drivers to make you do things impulsively. And you're going to have to wrestle with that and say, okay, am I following my model right now? Or am I acting on something that is outside the marketplace that I'm trying to pamper myself with or compensate for? Now, pampering is where you're already doing well. Everything's going good, and you just want to fluff yourself up. I'm not feeling a bad experience in my personal life. Nobody really hates me. My relationships are golden. My health is good. I just want to get in here and just do something because I'm good. You're going to have to find a way to keep that from happening. The opposite end of the spectrum, which is majority of the time what you're going to experience, is the adverse things that happen in your life. The people at your job are getting your fucking nerves, and somebody else that should have never got a promotion that you should have got, you were overlooked and they got it. Or you're just abused by poor management. Or you had a relationship fall out. Or you discover maybe infidelity, and the uncertainty of whether it's true or not now plagues you. And you're thinking, I can't leave this person because I'm now codependent. See, these are all things that trading books just aren't going to talk about. But that's the reality of it. And I lived all that shit. And I wish that I would have had someone tackle them, in discussions where I could start putting things together as a process or a protocol to respond to them. How would you act if your life partner, the one that you have set aside the rest of your life to be with, you discovered, not maybe proof, but discovered the likelihood of infidelity? What would that do to your mind? How would you think about things? Not just them and your relationship, but how would you think about yourself? Am I not good enough? Why would they want to do it anybody else? What am I not doing for them? Why aren't they appreciating what I'm doing? Did I perhaps offend them to the point where I've maybe lost my appeal physically? Did I give them a reason to think that I'm doing this? You're going to have all these questions. And what is it going to do? It's going to fester inside of you. And for some of you that don't have the confidence or openness in your relationship, say, hey, let's talk about something. I need to get this figured out here. You're going to be the ones that have it worse because you're going to keep it to yourself, thinking if I mention it and it ain't true, they're going to get angry. And they're going to think, oh, you're thinking that because you're doing it. You see how all these things can compound? And all these swirling what-if thinking that may or may not be true are going to cause you to feel what? Uncomfortable. And that uncomfortable state of mind in a trading account is the devil's playground. Man, you give him a moment to step into that account during those times, you are getting wrecked. Do you have the composition to say, hey, I'm not thinking clearly right now. I don't care how it looks on that chart. I don't care how long I've been waiting for that setup. If things aren't right in your mind, you don't push that button. Some of you aren't going to have that strength, because that's what it is. It's strength. You have to sort your personal shit before you get in here and start risking money. Because a clouded mind that's wrestling with uncertainties that are outside the chart, when you're about to take on financial risk, wrestling with financial uncertainty, what have you just done? You've compounded the difficulty to levels that are astronomical. Are you really going to be able to think about it clearly if you are wrestling with, if he is cheating, if she is cheating, if they do give that promotion to Carl, that motherfucker, all that stuff that you're worrying about, and then now you're in a trade and your trade isn't going for you right away, and you're in a little bit of drawdown. That little bit of drawdown, that 3 ticks or 3 handles, and your stop loss is 10. And you're thinking, oh shit, this is going to turn on me. Why would you think that? Because everything else in the world right now is coming down on you like a ton of bricks. You can't trade that way effectively. You can't. And to do it, you're asking yourself to start becoming an Olympic boxer today, and you've never had a pair of boxing gloves on in your life. That's the equivalence of it. That's like going and saying, yeah, let me spar Mike Tyson in his fucking prime. I feel lucky. Yeah, sure you do. And that's how many times, and this is exactly what I did when I was younger, you think, oh, it's going to work out for me. I feel lucky today. Yeah, I'm lucky I survived. That's about the extent of it. And you wreck yourself entirely. It's so easy to talk yourself into problematic situations. And it's so hard to guard yourself from them. Think about it. You do it every day in your personal life. You invite yourself into conversations you should damn well know you shouldn't be a part of. You're trying to mind everybody else's fucking business but your own. And you want to be good at trading. You're going to hurt yourself. Those same characteristics are going to what many times prevent you from being successful. I'm telling you, if I would have put all this stuff in a book for trading, it would have been the least purchased book, but for people that have tried to trade and lost money, it would be such a highly reviewed book because they would be able to say, you know what, that's exactly how I fucked up. But you're not going to see it that way. I'm not sure if you heard all that vibration. I just realized my head was against the pillow. I'm on my big ass sectional down in the basement. And I got real comfortable here and laid my head back. So I was rubbing the head back and forth as I'm talking with my hands, like I said. As I did that, my head's moving around and my Bose headset was rubbing against this pillow. So if you heard all kinds of noise, I apologize for that. But let's see what time it is here. I'll go till 12. That's good enough for the last one, right? But there's so much more to trading than just simply finding a good entry strategy or a bias filter. It's predominantly around you as the person. And I came into trading with all kinds of baggage. And I was the poster boy for everything to have in your repertoire at your disposal to guarantee failure. When I first started to do this stuff, it was all in my back pocket. It was ready to be taken out at any time. I was a card-carrying member of the Loser Society, and I was trying to do everything I can to win this woman back. So I can tell from experience, I can preach it from personal experience, that those types of things don't equate to success. I had to find a value in myself outside of her. And in today's society, and it's a shame because social media has really cultivated a lot of this bullshit. It's not a good thing. It's meant to divide us. It's meant to cause us to be toxic to one another, invent hateful, spiteful things because the person that's saying it is just a vile creature that's not happy with themselves right now. People that are successful, you know what the number one characteristic is? They want to help other people, and they have very little to say bad about anyone else. Think about it. You know it's true. If they have all this time and energy to talk negative about other people, they couldn't possibly be happy. They couldn't possibly be content with where they're at in life. They couldn't be. I don't have time to spend on tearing down somebody else. I might throw a ribbing joke about, someone using an indicator or whatnot, but I'm not going to spend my lifetime, trying to tear somebody down. I got too much positivity going on. I'm too much of a positive person to live that way. And some of you are going to discover that you aren't prepared for success, even though you might reach it faster than you expected. And you're going to start doing things toxically, outwardly, on social media, to other people, and you're going to try to do your dick measuring. And that's a number one reason why women are better traders. Better traders. I didn't say that the men can't make more money on par, because the only reason why that happens is because they over leverage and gamble. Women generally don't gamble. They do gamble. They're capable of gambling, but women are better risk managers. Men are greater and better risk takers. Now, I'm not impressed when someone over leverages something and says, look at this, I made this much money. Okay, what is your strike rate? How much drawdown do you incur? And how often do you trade? Because my interest is in excellence. You see what I do. That's fucking poetry, okay? That is so pretty to watch. And I don't give a shit where you came from, how you like to trade. Ask anybody. When they watch my execution, it's too good to be fucking true. And that's not arrogance. That's not me puffing myself up. I worked very, very hard to get to this degree. Okay, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a great deal of prayer. It takes a great deal of trusting and waiting on the Lord to give me the ability to do it. That's where it comes from. It didn't happen real quick for me. I wasn't able at year 6 to trade like I can trade right now. I had fixed only the physical things in me, the mental barriers. That's how long it took me to get out of my own way, 6 years. And then I had to get comfortable with what I understood, what I should be focusing on. 3.5 years after that. That's when I was locked and loaded. But as a person, figuring myself out, it took me 6 years. It was painful. Nobody was telling me to, hey, look, buddy, come over here to my chat room and I'll encourage you today. That wasn't happening. That wasn't happening, man. It's hard. And you have so many advantages today. None of you have the right to claim depression. None of you have the right to claim unfairness. None of you have the right to say it's not fair that. Bull fucking shit. That's bullshit. You have a PhD level library, a compendium of stuff out there that people now are making real doctor fucking salaries with. It's at your fingertips. And some of you are wrestling and arguing with me. Can you make it shorter? Oh, really? You want to go into medical school? You want to get your PhD? Ask them if they can condense that fucking shit into an associate's degree for you, time-wise. What kind of response are you going to get? Get the fuck out of here. Get your ass out of here, you fucking lazy ass. Because that's what that is. You can't be lazy in this industry. You cannot, because it will take your ass out like the trash. It will get rid of you. It will discard you. Goodbye. It's unsettling when you discover that's how it is. But you need to be told that coming in. And I tell you this. And you don't like me because I'm being honest with you, but I'm sorry. You need to understand that. You need to know those things. That's exactly how I tell my sons. The world owes you nothing. It owes you fuck all. You are going to get what you earn. And even when you earn it, it will probably be stolen from you. And you'll have to work harder to fucking replace it. This world is a bunch of shit. Think about it. Think about this for a second. You pay taxes on money that you earn. Then you're taxed on the money that you're taxed for earning when you buy shit. The money you have left over pays for a fucking property that you own. You have a deed to. But they tax you on the property that you fucking own, that you paid taxes when you fucking bought it and you received the deed on income that you were taxed. And you don't think there's a fucking scam in that? You have to know how to outpace these motherfuckers. Your college degree ain't it. That's not the fucking solution. That in itself is an IQ test. Either you're going to be your own boss or you're going to be a good fucking slave. And some of you good slaves can be paid very, very well, but you're still a fucking slave. And you're willing to submit to whatever fucking costs and lifetime mortgages, the equivalent of, for student debt on a college degree, on a career that you might not even like doing once you get there. How certain are you that you're going to invest all that time, all that energy, all that fucking money that you're going to have to pay back? And you can't write that off with a bankruptcy. Student debt, you're fucking stuck with it. And Biden just told you, fuck off, I'm not paying off nothing. They do that shit to get your vote, man. You're manipulated constantly, all the time. All the time. In this world, you have to be shrewd. You have to be diligent. You have to bust your ass. But there's a way to work hard And there's a way to work hard and smart. When you work hard, you're going to work hard the rest of your fucking life. But if you work hard and smart, you only have to work hard and smart in the beginning. And once you figure out what it is that you're supposed to be doing for yourself, being your own entrepreneur, and trading is the last bastion for that. And you can start with next to nothing. Reading people going off about, oh, you're only going to give a trading system to the rich people. Are you out of your fucking mind? Why would I give a trading platform a setup like that to someone that hasn't even done the work of being a profitable demo trader? Am I a good steward of what I've been given as money? If I just give it to somebody, what was you expecting? Pick a number, and if you're right, you fucking win like it's a lottery? No. The whole time I've been here, I've been trying to actively teach people. And if you know how to do this, I'll give you a perfect example. Top Step. They do a $50,000, $49 fee for it, okay? And if my memory serves me correct, I think Cameron was paying like $150 to once he passed his combine. Or I don't know if is it combine? Or is combine when you get it when you're funded? One of the two. It's $49 to try to get to a point where you're funded. And then before you can get the funded part, you had to pay the what is it? It's like a startup fee. It's like it's another way for them to make money. It's what the fuck it is. But long and short is, it's just a $200 investment. So if you're saying that you can't afford to take this contest that I presented to get a $4,000 setup delivered to your fucking house on my dime, this company isn't doing it for free. I have no affiliate. This is coming out of my fucking money. It's my reward to somebody that does the work and gives me a memory of saying, okay, this was my student. Well done. Not only are you going to make your own fucking money, but I'm going to reward you for your effort in showing me and the community that you did well with it. But it has to be done in a manner where it's one trade, one specific setup, not milly-nilly shit, okay? Not over leveraging, not a lot of drawdown. So that means you got to go into it with a mindset. It takes effort to do this. That's what real professional traders do anyway. They're not here fucking gambling. So if you're saying that I can't afford a $200 funded account, you can't afford to fucking trade. And if nobody's told you that, let me be that first guy to do it. You can't afford to trade. Your high and lofty ideas that you think that you're going to get there somehow, like it's going to magically fall in your lap, that's not going to happen. You're going to have to earn it. And that's the problem with fucking social media, because there's so many entitlement motherfuckers running around thinking everything's owed to them. You need to give it to me because you have it. You better give it to me, or you're an asshole. You're a piece of shit because you didn't give it to me. Whoever earns this, whoever wins it, watch, there's going to be people that are going to shit on them because they're fucking spiteful. And social media cultivated that. It gives them the ability to talk shit that they would never say to their fucking face on the street. Have their fucking head slapped the fuck off their shoulders. You can't win on social media. You can give them your fucking last penny. Give them the winning lottery numbers for fucking 2 years in a row, and they're still going to find fault with you. They're miserable pieces of shit. So why are you going to waste more time with them? Don't. But all of this compounds into a very complex thing that you have to balance as a trader. Are you going to be somebody that's constantly worrying about staying in model, staying inside the parameters that you've allowed for risk, keeping a proper mindset, not worrying about minding somebody else's business, trying to keep up with the Joneses, trying to keep up with everybody else that's out there trying to pretend, and you don't even know if the results they're pretending that is real is even real. My FX books and MT4 and MT5 screenshots are absolute fucking bullshit for proof. It's bullshit. If they're going to have the initiative to take all that time to show you screenshots of profits, okay, and they have not been interviewed and paid out by other companies where you can see they are getting paid real money, if all you ever see is a screenshot of bullshit supposed profits, even if there is a fucking withdrawal, you don't know if that's fucking real. Show a fucking history of trades where you get in, you manage the trades, and there it is. If you see that, and if you're one of these people that are listening to me, you know, I still want to pay for somebody to teach me or pay for somebody to do me signals or whatever. If you're willing to give somebody any money and they've never shown you that, you're a fucking idiot. You are an idiot. You deserve to be fleeced. You're a sheep. Because if nothing you've not learned in the last 2 years with me is that you have to see it be done, outlined beforehand. And you know what? My students that can do that, they're the first ones in fucking line, raising their hand. Let me be the one to beat your fucking ass. Come at me, motherfucker. Let me be the one to show my trades against yours. And they all shut the fuck up, don't they? Isn't that funny? That's why they don't like our fucking community, because we're a bunch of fucking savages. We'll kick your fucking shit in, okay? That's the way it is around here. And if you're not there at that stage yet, you fucking will be. Just keep showing up and doing the work. Once you understand what you're doing, ain't a fucking person gonna take away what you know how to do. It's confidence. It's fucking confidence. That is not arrogance. That's not arrogance. Learn the fucking definitions. Confidence is saying, I don't give a shit what anybody fucking thinks or says. I know I'm getting mine. I know how I'm getting it. And I know what the fuck time I'm getting it too. That's a level of confidence that's not known before. You're all part of that shit now. You live it. That should be fucking celebrated. Who the fuck's got a problem with that? Seriously. Little Dick Daniels, that's who fucking has a problem with it. They can't do it themselves, so they're going to try to shit on you. And guess what? It doesn't even work. It doesn't even fucking work. You're bulletproof. You're fucking Teflon coated. These motherfuckers can't stick no shit on you. You've already been here. You've already seen it. You're doing it in your own hands. How the fuck's anybody going to convince you that what you're doing right now ain't it? This is it. This is what everybody wants to be able to feel this way when they get into trading. They want to feel the confidence knowing that, yep, this is a time for me not to trade right now. I don't give a shit what it does. I'm confident that I'm doing the right thing by not doing something. And when it's time to do something, I'm going to stomp a mud hole in its ass and walk it dry. And I ain't got no worries about it. I don't give a shit how many people learn what I'm doing. When the market's going down, there's people short and there's people buying it. There's stops always going to be above an old high. There's going to be stops below an old low. Always. It doesn't fucking matter if the fucking people in Timbuktu fucking 2 know my name or not. This fucking shit's going to be the same way. Why are you worried about shit that ain't going to fucking be an impediment? You're looking for an excuse to not do it. That's all this is. That's all this is. If you are worried about this algorithm being changed, if you're worried about that, you are literally manifesting your internal fears of wasting time, a little bit of your time, because you don't have the wherewithal to stick with it. That's the truth. That's exactly what it is. How do I know that? Because I've had students before I started doing it with paid mentorship for years that had that same characteristic. And the ones that were honest, they came out and said, you know what? I'm not going to be able to stick with this because I won't be able to stick with it. Well done. That takes a great deal of honesty, and I'm proud that you have the conviction to come forward and say, you know what, this isn't for you. That takes inventory on a person. You got to be honest. You got to be comfortable in your own skin. So you know what, this is above my capabilities, and I'm not willing to invest any time because I know I'm not going to stay with it. That's why most people don't join a gym. They don't join a gym. That's why they don't have a home gym. They don't have these things that are going to help them be healthy. Why? Because they know themselves. They're not going to fucking join that program because they're going to waste their time and money because they know they're not going to stick with it. That's exactly what goes on when people come here and they try it for a fucking week and they say, this doesn't work, it's a scam. But How do you explain this to people over here? And how do you explain this? And how do you explain the fact that I called this shit and it turns on a fucking dime to the tick? And it goes exactly where the fuck I said it was going to go. Against everybody else on YouTube's expectations. Proven. Well, I don't have any comment there. We're not going to say anything about that. But you're a scammer. Oh, shit, that's some good stuff. Oh, man, that's good. That's good. I love it. I love it. I'm still sipping this 68-degree cocoa. How do you know it's 68 degrees, ICT? Because I keep my house at 68 degrees. So, anyway, I'm not sure if you can hear it in my voice, but I am in the holiday spirit. Like, I am so happy to know that when I'm done this evening, I have done everything I said I was going to do. I have shared what I said I was going to share. I have created profitable students. I have created profitable, respectful students that conduct themselves like gentlemen, that actually care about their audience members, not just going out there flaunting that they can make a lot of money. And I'm proud of all of you. Omar, Kyle, Paladin, just the top three comes to mind. And there's so many more. And if I don't name your name, don't be offended, because I could literally be fucking here forever. The fact that you care enough for your communities like you do, and for the people that spend the time listening to you, that's something that I was really concerned about, because as I mentioned earlier in this Twitter space, the way I made myself marketable is I had to be polarizing. I had to create a faction, a split, a division, knowing that it would create ripples. And those ripples would be, okay, you're either Team ICT or not Team ICT. And the ones that don't like me are going to sell me more than anybody else will, because you all want to come here and watch me do something wrong. And I've enjoyed denying you that. And you're just still waiting. But even despite seeing me market myself like that, being very polarizing, you as my students have learned the right lessons, and you didn't have to pattern yourself on some of the things I use in the early stages of me getting a community. Because I use the train wreck analogy, or car wreck, okay? If I could create some kind of a stir with someone that had a bigger audience member, base, a larger audience subscriber base, and I could stand right in front of them and say this, that, and either one of two things are going to happen, and this is usually what happened. I got banned, blocked or whatever, and they would never look at what I'm saying. But it didn't change the fact that I would still talk about them, and all people were like, he does have a point. Why don't you do this? Why don't we ever see your trades? And then it just became where they would just, clam up about everything. So what I wanted to see was a real McCoy step forward and say, yeah, I got a problem with this. I can show you this. And that's what this industry needs. Like this industry needs not somebody going out there and fucking saying, I got $10,000, you so-and-sos. I don't think there's a fucking edge, but look at all these glass fucking trophies that mean fuck all. Okay? It doesn't mean shit to me. It doesn't mean shit to anybody else. It doesn't mean fucking nothing. It means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. Going into a chart that's live, explaining what it's going to do before it does it, point to exactly what the fuck it's going to do before it fucking does it, and push the fucking button and manage a stop loss and take it down. That demands respect. Whether you're trading with fucking horseshoe crab fucking patterns, whether you're trading moving averages, whether you're trading harmonic, whatever the fuck you're using, it doesn't matter. If someone does that, I have respect for that person. It doesn't matter what school of thought they use. I have respect for that person, because that person's walking that talk. They're doing it. They're not talking from the anonymity of, well, trust me, bro. The fuck is trust me, bro? The fuck's that mean? How am I going to do that? I ain't seen anything to trust. I have created this mindset in my students that they know that everybody that came to me, not one of you came to me because of an ad. Not one of my paid mentorship students came to me by advertisement. They watched me do what you've been watching me do. Execute over and over and over again. And you see the same things repeating. And you wanted to know, how did I do that? And you learned. I showed you exactly what I do, how I do it when it happens. That's how you all found me. Word of mouth. And now you can tell who my students are. They're the ones out there fucking smashing it. They're out there the ones that are going to show you their executions. They don't have a problem starting a trade, showing it to you. They want to. They want to shove it up your fucking ass, twist it sideways, okay? They ain't worried about it. They know that what they're going to do is going to work. They're not afraid of it. Now, compare and contrast that with everybody else has been trying to avoid doing on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram. They want to give you just enough to let you think that they're profitable. But they can't prove that they can execute under live data. I said this before, and I'm going to say it again. It doesn't matter to me. I've been doing this a very, very long time. If it's demo or if it's live, I don't give a shit because it still has to be done with live data. You have to know what it's going to do before it happens. You can't escape that. So if anybody is willing to do that for you, and you can see that they're consistently able to employ what it is they're teaching or supposedly teaching as a conceptual idea, then that person has earned, number one, the respect from me, because that's something that 99% of these fuckers out there that are trying to sell something won't ever do for you. They'll only show you the after. Here's what I did, bro. Trust me, bro. I made this. Oh, I would eat you both. Bring your shit, man. Bring it. All that stuff means nothing. Means nothing until you can do. The doing is what matters. Talking about what you did, nobody can believe that anymore. Look at AI. They can make somebody sound and look like they're doing whatever the fuck they want them to do. You can't trust that. But guess what you can trust? You have somebody come out there before the fact, say, the market's going to go here. And then you watch them with live data, execute with a live fucking account. All of a sudden, you have a problem now, don't you? How the fuck could someone time travel, point to it beforehand, a week before it happens? Not just 1 minute. See, I've slapped these guys around for 2 years. Oh yeah, he's got a delay. You know, that's why he's using a 1 minute chart, because he can do this and watch. I can call this and I can call that. No, you can't replicate what I'm doing. And I've openly challenged it. Like, come on, I want to see it. I would love to see it. I would love to see it. Even if you got marginally close, one half of it, I love watching people trade. Not for the sake of watching them wreck themselves. I'm talking about people that know how to trade. I wish there was more of it. I love it. To me, that's much more entertaining than watching some fuckers running around in some pajamas chasing some pigskin. That doesn't make no fucking sense to me. That don't make any sense to me. Football. NFL. Fucking stupid. You're making people rich watching people injure themselves. That's dumb. But trading, to me, that's like really watching mental chess on a battlefield where you have everything to lose. Pride, ego. You lose face in the front of your subscriber base. And you have everything to earn. Respect, glory, pride. Not that pride's a good thing, but you get to be able to say, I told you so. And do you really know what you're doing? Because if you really know what you're doing, you're actively trying to prove it. You're actively trying to prove it by contrast. Now, there's somebody going to say, no, that's not true because I know what I'm doing and I don't ever feel that. Okay, got it. I got you, man. I got you. There's a lot of you out there that are going to be like that. But I'm talking about the ones that constantly make an excuse why I don't have time to do it right now. Or when they do try it, they fail miserably in the witness of you publicly. So we have, with the spearheading of my own, we have raised the bar up in the industry. You cannot accept MT4 screenshots. You cannot accept an MT5 screenshot. You cannot accept a MyFX book because those fucking things can be rigged. But you know what you can't rig? Getting fucking paid. Getting a fucking withdrawal, paid, interviewed by a fucking firm that paid you out, and they are saying, what the hell are you doing that you're so good? Hello. Hello. That's our boys. That's our girls. That's our team. That's us. We are fucking here. And just because I'm parking my old ass and retiring doesn't mean you get to sit on yours. I'm watching all of you. I'm watching all of you. And the next king is coming up out of our community, not anywhere else. So hopefully you're inspired. Hopefully you're encouraged. And I've given you something to hang your hopes and sights on going into the new year next year. There's a lot of shit going on in the world. I hope you're making your house ready. One of the best things you can do is inform yourself. Prepare yourself. Because things are going to get real uncomfortable here soon. And what you think is a constant, which is a weekly paycheck or bi-weekly paycheck, that might not be enough for you. And you're going to have a skill set that you can lean on. And trading doesn't have to be an everyday work day. You don't need to do that every day. Try to keep your costs low, your commission costs low, your trade frequency low, and try to trade with the highest quality setup. Let that be your primary focus when you're taking trades, not quantity. Quantity, that's not important. Quality is. You're going to be far less stressed when things start ramping up here soon. What am I talking about? Well, if you watched and listened to my Twitter spaces last year, I told you some real drama's coming. And my students have been with me a long time. I told you in 2020, war is coming. It's coming. And it's coming to our soil. They've invited it. It's going to come here and it's going to affect everybody. And it's going to affect the marketplaces, not any one particular, but all of them. And when it gets like that, you need to be patient and sit still. There's going to be periods where you're not going to be able to trade, and try to just wait and relax. These people are greedy. Their casino, they won't leave it closed forever, but they're going to disrupt it for a little bit. You've been told this years in advance. Don't be scared when it happens, but don't try to live above your means. Living above your means, spending money you can't afford to spend. That's not what you should be doing right now. You shouldn't be out there buying cars. You shouldn't be out there buying horse shit. You should be making your house ready. You have food. You have food for 2 years, non-perishable food. I talked about it last year. I'm telling you, if you don't have it, 2024, as we roll into 2024, and it could happen sooner, but as we go into 2024, that 18-month time limit I gave you last summer, we're in that right now. All kinds of shit is about to break loose. And guess what that means? Commodity markets are going to go through the roof. See, 2024 ain't going to be just a S&P win for me. I have all kinds of shit that can be used. I don't need S&P. They could keep S&P in a locked narrow range for months. I don't need that. I can trade a silver bullet in copper, in cotton, live cattle, See, once you know what you're doing, if it trades, it can be traded with the same thing. You have a cookie cutter. You can go out there and just simply stamp your cookie cutter into whatever dough is out there and take it home. And don't try to take more than that cookie cutter is designed to do. That's peace of mind. That's you not trying to make it an Olympic effect or event, rather. And for some of you, when things start really kicking off and violence is everywhere, because it will be violent, you're going to want to feel good and comforted, and you're going to look to the markets to do that for you. I'm telling you and reminding you, don't. Don't take exorbitant risks. Don't risk what you don't have to lose. Every bit of money you have right now, you have to be very good stewards with. If you're going to the clubs on the weekends, you're a fucking idiot. If you're buying recreational vehicles or additional vehicles, you're a fucking idiot. You're trying to get the latest bling, you're a fucking idiot. Believe me, you're all going to know just how accurate Chicken Little's been. Because when this fucking shit starts falling down on all of us, my money isn't going to protect me. It's not going to protect me. Yours ain't going to protect you. In a moment, they can turn your access off to your money. What about the money you have over at that funded account company that just got tapped by the CFTC? Did you get your payout? Still waiting for it? Think you'll ever get it? Are you assured that you ever will? What happens if you never get it? Does your life get impacted by that? Or is it your mind scrambled over it and now you're all messed up? See, that's what the intended purposes are when they start disrupting things. When central bank digital currencies become a real thing here, they're saying cash is always going to be available, digital and real. That's a lie. Because as soon as it all goes to central bank digital currency, cash will be made illegal. And then they own all of us. Your money has an expiration date. If you don't spend it, you lose it. If you don't listen to them, you do things on social media they don't like. It's like in China, they say you can't spend anything, or they limit what you can spend. You can't buy that. It's only good for this. That sounds like welfare, doesn't it? Doesn't it sound like welfare? It's worse. Control somebody's ability to get food and feed their family, and you own them. You own them. And you're out here trying to get physical things. Cars, boats, overpriced bullshit Rolex watches. Rolex is shit. It's trash. Get up attack. Then you're talking about a real watch. I so want to talk about other things. I'm going to do this. I've said everything I said today about the trading. So if you're not interested in anything beyond that, just know that I have greatly appreciated your interest in my life's work. I have appreciated your continued engagement as part of our community. And I wish you nothing but success. I wish you all the blessings that the Lord could lay on you with the information he's given me. I hope that it helps you and your family. I hope it keeps you and helps provide for you. It's been my intent to help all of you to do that. And I want all of you, even the ones that don't like me, I want all of you to succeed. I want you all to be spared from all the things that are coming. But I want to transition to a topic that some of you aren't going to like, okay? But I feel like I have to talk about it because I have to. But if you're not interested in anything outside of trading, this is the time when you can turn off the Twitter space and bid me farewell and or tell me go fuck off. Whatever. You can say anything you want on your last day, right? But the last time we sat down and I kind of like went over some things about what I believe. We talked for like 6 hours, and it didn't feel like 6 hours for me. And I wish I would have kind of like kept going, but I know it's kind of hard to watch or listen to something like that because it's so long. And it was about topics I'm sure you were hoping that I would break away from and go back into trading, but I'm not going to talk about trading anymore in this Twitter space. So you're welcome to depart from it. I don't even care how many leave or whatever. But if I got one person listen to me, it's fine. And that's who I'm talking to. But we went through a series of things that I believe that are proven historically, not just in the Bible, but the idea of timing things.